Let me pop in. There we go. Make sure I'm popped in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 23 of the Rocket Punch Show. I'm one of your hosts, as always, Cameron here, and joined at my side here, unfortunately, ladies, he is completely off the market, Seth, a.k.a. Darth Turner. Seth, how are you doing today, man?
Shut it down. Ladies, it's over.
It is.
You can stop with the fan mail. You can stop with the constant creating of duplicate Tinder accounts in hopes that you'll match with me. It's not happening. I actually haven't been on Tinder in years, and it was honestly the worst experience ever while I was on there. So, yes, I'm back. I'm back from vacation. I'm back from proposing to my beautiful, beautiful now fiance.
Yay! Congrats to that.
I'm back from PlayStation 5 pre-order watch 2020. I'm back from everything, man. I'm back and ready to rock and ready to talk about video games into this microphone that you can just barely see, just the tip.
Is that? I think that's what people like. Is just the tip, right?
Just the tip to see how it.
I'm
done. I'm done. Hello, Jadam. Welcome to this very family-friendly episode.
We're starting off right. No, I remember. I don't. We figured out the secret, everybody. We know what it takes to get these multi-billion-dollar conglomerates to announce their products, release their stuff to us so that we can buy them. And that is to make Seth go on vacation. Because literally, Seth, as soon as you went on vacation, the floodgates just opened up. And all this stuff started pouring out. It was a wonderful time. You missed the whole lot.
So the way we did it is we my fiance's parents live kind of near where we were vacationing, so we went and stayed at her parents' place. So that night, I was sitting on the couch with my fiance's mom. My fiance had already gone to bed, and I was just sitting there, and then all the leaks started to happen, right? And so I'm sitting here next to this person. You know, she's over here like playing Frozen Freefall on her iPad, and I'm like, "This is the most hype I've ever been." She has no context for it.
She doesn't understand.
She doesn't understand. And it was pretty great. It was pretty great. It was a very nice and relaxing vacation. But yes, basically everything next gen happened while I was out of town. So we got a lot to catch up on tonight.
We do.
And I cannot wait to dig into it with you.
We have a bunch of stuff to talk about tonight, guys. We're talking about the PlayStation 5 Showcase that just happened, including the entire pre-order dumpster fire that happened immediately after that. We're talking about the Nintendo Direct Mini that happened this week. We're talking about Nintendo 3DS getting discontinued, and a whole lot more, guys, because this is the Rocket Punch Show, your southern source for all things gaming, geek, and more. You can listen to the podcast every Tuesday on your podcast service of choice. We are on all the big ones here, and a special welcome, we are also on Amazon Music. They're doing podcasts now, and so you can find the Rocket Punch Show on Amazon as well. You can listen to us live as we record the show each and every week for you right here on twitch.tv/RocketPunchLive around 7 p.m. Central Standard Time.
Mm-hmm. Hold on a second. Technically, we've always been on Amazon because we've been on Twitch, right?
Now you're splitting hairs. Well, Amazon Podcasts. They have a podcast service
Amazon
now.
Podcast, which is apparently a thing I didn't know existed, but
yes, they just
good. I'm glad we're on it.
They announced it and released it, so if you listen to Amazon Music, they have a podcast section now, and we're on there. I'd like to give a special welcome and thank you to everybody who's joining us in here on twitch.tv/RocketPunchLive. We appreciate you guys being a part of the conversation. Of course, guys, if you want to catch all the stuff that we make for you here, make sure you head over to rocketpunchgo.com. That is your one-stop shop for all the videos, streams, podcasts, and more that are made for you each and every week. If you want to support us, there are a lot of different ways you can help support the show here, guys. The easiest way, of course, is to review us on your audio service that you're listening to the show on. You can also follow us and share our content over on our social media channels. You can clearly see here, I am at Rocket Punch Go on Twitter. Seth over there is at Darth Turner on Twitter as well, so make sure you're following us to catch all of our shenanigans on social media. If you want to go even further beyond, though, you can definitely consider subscribing to us here on Twitch or subscribing to us over on patreon.com/rocketpunch. Just like a few select people have done here. As we always like to do, want to give a special shout out to our Rocket Punch producers. These are the people supporting us at the highest tier over on Patreon. So a special thank you to Jossie M, Sam S, Jeremy M, Stephen S, Adam C, and of course everyone who has subscribed to us here on Twitch. Oh la la, that's it there. I didn't put it in the notes here. Some upcoming events and announcements to just keep you guys on the in the know as to what's going on here. There's a good chance within the next week or two that I'll actually be tweaking my stream schedule as well. Get a little bit more consistency down and get some more time to do some streams and whatnot. So definitely be on the lookout for that. And also, we've got a couple of videos as well that I'll be putting up over on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/RocketPunchGo. So if you want to check out some videos, some gaming videos, and also some like discussion videos that kind of broaden some of the topics that we discuss here on the show, you can definitely check that out there. Other than that, we are going to be talking about PlayStation and Xbox in this episode, but I do want to be clear, we're not going to dive too deep into like pricing and strategy and stuff. That has been saved for the latest episode of Console Wars that we recorded last week. If you are listening to this via audio services, that episode will be live in the podcast feed. It will also be up on youtube.com/RocketPunchGo. But if you want to hear mine and Seth's, all of our thoughts on now that we have 3 hours and 23 minutes actually
of thoughts. There are plenty of thoughts.
Yeah, if you want to listen to that whole thing, go over to YouTube or go to audio services there and listen to that episode there. I'm probably going to break it up into parts on YouTube, so that way it's a little bit easier to consume for you guys there, because a 3-hour video is very daunting on YouTube. If you have any questions about our thoughts and some of the questions that we ask surrounding next gen, and now that we have the prices and we know what the strategies are for both companies, check out episode 7 of Console Wars. That'll have all the information you need from us. But that being said, there's still a bunch of stuff we have to talk about that isn't necessarily next gen related here. Jumping into the news here, first item up for bid, we got this surprise stealth Nintendo Direct Mini this past week. I was a little shocked about this, Seth. Hopefully you were excited about some of the news that came out of here. A few things tickled my fancy, so I'm pretty excited about that. But let's jump into this here. We're going to quickly run down and discuss everything that was talked about in the Nintendo Direct Mini. I'm pulling this information from Adam Bankhurst over at IGN.com. We'll do a quick run through here. Honestly, I think, Seth, you probably agree with me. If you were a Monster Hunter fan, this was the show for you, by far.
Yeah, for sure.
First up, guys, we have Monster Hunter Rise was announced, coming to the Switch on March 26, 2021. It has a grappling hook system, letting you swing around like Spider-Man, because apparently that's the new hotness. That's what everybody wants to be. I want to be Spider-Man, yeah. It'll feature a large seamless map that you can explore, and with a new dog-like companion mount called the Palamute. Capcom has also confirmed that there will be compatibility of some kind with Monster Hunter Stories 2, Wings of Ruin, which was also announced in arriving on the Switch next summer. Monster Hunters 2, Wings of Ruin will arrive on Nintendo Switch in summer 2021 there. And then they also had, I didn't actually watch the part after that, but they had a whole, immediately after this Nintendo Direct Mini, they had this whole 15 to 20 minute segment on the Monster Hunter games. I didn't watch that. Seth, did you?
No, not really. Monster Hunter World was really my first foray into this franchise for Monster Hunter. I got super into World. The handheld ones have not really ever appealed to me. I think mainly because there was always a very stark visual difference. Mm-hmm. And I have also heard that World was designed to be a little bit more accessible for new players, whereas a lot of the portable versions kind of assume that you're coming into that Monster Hunter World kind of already knowing what's going on, how the weapons work. So now that I have an understanding of how Monster Hunter works, I could probably jump in on this. I am not sure if that's going to be a thing that I do, because there's so many games coming out next year, man. So many.
I'm sure we're going to talk about it at some point. Yeah,
super hype for Monster Hunter fans for sure.
Yeah, most definitely. For Xbox fans who also have Nintendo, this should also be exciting as well. Ori and the Will of the Wisps heads to Nintendo Switch. Yep. It is available right now as of this recording here. I Am 8-Bit is also selling a collector's edition that is pretty dope. The box opens up and it's like this stained glass piece. That's the Switch case, and it has a little codes and other goodies in the back there. They have the first one on there, right, Seth? I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, it was a big deal. That was one of the it was that and Cuphead came to Switch kind of within 6 months of each other, and that was like oh man, Microsoft's doing the release things on other platforms thing. So it was a big deal at the time. So it does not surprise me at all that they brought Will-O-the-Wisp over to Switch, because it's a perfect match.
Next up, guys, Fitness Boxing 2 Rhythm and Exercise was announced here, coming to Switch on December 4th of this year. You can pick one of 9 instructors, customize your outfits, play with a friend, a whole lot more. Very awesome for all these fitness enthusiasts. I could see myself getting into those games, but I just never could. I don't know why, what the whole deal was. I just like
Fit.
You like what?
I like Ring Fit. I like their
Ring Fit?
I like when that there is an artifact that I'm interacting with that's not just the Joy-Con. Like Fitness Boxing is very, obviously going to be like boxing focused. So yeah. I'm sure this is the fact that it ended up in the Direct means that there's at least a fan base for it. And so I think that those fans are probably here and excited for it. But yeah, I don't know that this didn't move my needle much on the radar. So. Yeah.
Same for me, but what did move my needle was this next announcement here. Disgaea 6, Defiance of Destiny, is coming to Nintendo Switch exclusively in December 2021. You play as the boastful zombie Zed in this new Disgaea adventure that will arrive on the Nintendo Switch in 2021. And they also announced that Disgaea 5 Complete will be available to try in a special game trial event on September 23rd through 29th, so this upcoming weekend. Disgaea 6, awesome. I'm super excited about that. I think the Switch, those tactical RPG games, I think are perfect for Nintendo Switch. I really wish that the Disgaea 5 complete demo, game trial, whatever you want to call it, wasn't out for a limited time. I don't know why they would have just said, hey, here, boom, here's a demo, like the first level or 2 of the game, and then, here's instructions on how to buy it if you like it. A little silly, if you ask me.
I mean, who would have thought that Nintendo, of all companies, would do something crazy like a time-limited availability of something that people want? But they would never do that, right?
Who would have thought? I never would have guessed. Never.
Yeah, only Disney does that, right?
Well,
moving on.
Moving on, guys.
Moving on.
Next up, Balan Wonderworld is coming to Switch next year. We got another trailer kind of detailing more of the gameplay, showing off the footage on the Nintendo Switch. It will be released on Nintendo Switch on March 26th, 2021. 80 costumes, wielding a variety of abilities. I'm sure you guys remember us talking about this a couple of episodes back. I want to know your thoughts on this, Seth, because I saw part of this footage here, and I'm going to be real honest, that footage did not look great on the Nintendo Switch.
It did not. Did not look very great. That game, I think, is for a different market than us in particular. It looked like a game that a younger Japanese fan would really be into. I could see a younger Japanese audience being into that kind of game. It kind of gave me obviously that game looks a lot like Knights, and the creator of Knights on it, so it makes sense. It's just one of those where it's the idea of put on these costumes and get these powers. It's a thing we've seen before, and I don't know that this does it in such a way that makes me want to give it a shot. Which I know sounds a little close-minded of me, but yeah, I don't think that on the Switch especially this did not look super great.
Yeah, I mean, if a trial ever comes out for the game, I think I'd be interested in it. But overall, this isn't. I don't think this was a game kind of directed at me, so I'm not too hurt. Not my type of game. I'll let everybody else enjoy it though. It'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Next up on the announcements here, Rune Factory 5 will be releasing on Switch in 2021. There, protect your town as a peacekeeping ranger, harvest crops, go fishing, fall in love, and all that good stuff with Rune Factory. Next up on Switch here, The Long Dark is available on Nintendo Switch right now. You can play that. I'm actually really interested in this because this game is on Game Pass. and I was on my Xbox this weekend. I actually downloaded it. I've been seeing it for so long on PC and Xbox, PlayStation. And all. You know what? I'm going to download this game and give it a shot. I haven't had a chance to play it yet, so fingers crossed.
It is in that artsy survival game category. So it is. If you've played Among Trees, I think that was a newer one that just came out on Epic a little while back. It got popular for a little while. But
yeah,
it's
I have
like
that.
One of those. Yeah, it's basically imagine like the aesthetics of like a Firewatch, right? But wrapped in more of a survival type game. This takes a lot of inspiration from that surviving in the Arctic. So, wolves and bears, snow, obviously. I think the big thing about this game was it was one of the earlier ones that did the like heat management. So you have to like make sure you stay warm, by either finding the right clothes or fire or shelter, that kind of stuff. So let me know what you think about it. Because, yeah, it's on Game Pass, so a lot of people should be able to try it out.
Okay, definitely try it out. Another game that you should definitely try out is Hades, which is arriving on Nintendo Switch today. It is out now. It is available. It is the 1.0 launch. It's no longer in early access. It is out there. I've seen good things. I know a good friend of ours, Palace, streams. He's a big streamer there, and he plays this game. He likes the game a lot, so I definitely have to check that out. Have you played it, Seth?
I've not played it. I've watched several streams of it, but this is I love Transistor. I love the games that they've worked on beforehand, so this will be right up my alley. It's just such a thick time with so many good games to play right now. This is one that's going to end up on my backlog.
We're working into the fall time frame. It's mid-September. Yeah. Fall is right around the corner. We're about to hit the time where all these games, and it's next-gen launch, so that makes it even bigger. So, yeah. Empire of Sin, the strategy game kind of in Prohibition-era Chicago in the 1920s, will be available on Nintendo Switch on December 1st, 2020. Sniper Elite 4 was also announced for the Nintendo Switch here. Will be coming out in holiday 2020. If you remember the extra live stream we did last year, you probably watched Will play this a good little bit early in the morning. It was pretty gnarly. Some of these shots were... Oh, man. They were crazy as hell. But no, that's it for the Nintendo Partner Mini Showcase there. Seth, what did you think about the Mini? Any games specifically that jump out at you?
One thing I think Nintendo does a really good job of with these directs, with the exception of having them frequently. I think that they do a good job of creating expectations around the way they brand them. Like I kind of come to expect from direct minis, specifically minis, some minor announcements, some maybe ports of games, some indie game launches, and then they'll usually have kind of something bigger at the end. And I think that article didn't really go in order, so the thing at the end was Ori and the Will of the Wisp coming to Switch, which I think of the things they showed was probably the most like imminent and blend of imminent and exciting. I think Disgaea was the announcement of a new Disgaea is very exciting, but it's not as imminent since it's coming up next year. That's something we might actually see in a full direct as a reveal. I know one of the things they talked about with Disgaea was the damage can get into the quadrillions or something, super ridiculous.
It's always been super ridiculous in a Disgaea game. So not surprised about that.
I mean, overall, this was like a pretty average direct, which it's a mini. Like it meets expectations mini. Like what did you think?
I agree. I think it met expectations. Of course, I was excited for Disgaea 6, seeing that get announced. A lot of other cool games get revealed and announced for the system here. The concern, I'll say concern, is that a lot of these games I remember seeing on PS4 and Xbox One and PC, and they ran very smooth, and so kind of seeing that jump to Switch, which no offense to the Nintendo Switch, but hardware is not as powerful as that, and especially saw it in Balan Wonderworld, and I was kind of like, ooh, boy, that looks pretty rough there. I'm really curious to see how these other games are going to play natively, and that's with the Nintendo Switch. That's the nature of the beast. I think the big thing, and of course the coolest thing about it, is that you can take those games on the go with you. and undock them when your other significant other wants to watch TV. Boom, you can pull out your Switch and start playing the game there. And so I think there's kind of a trade-off for that there. So I'm not dinging it hard on that, but a lot again, as they usually do in these partner mini events, a lot of great variety in the games that were shown. I mean, Balan Wonderworld to Sniper Elite 4. I mean, two ends of the spectrum there. But overall, I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was a solid entry, considering that they've been a little kind of quiet and inconsistent with their reveals. It's always good to see Nintendo pop up with new announcements.
There's been a lot of frustration this year with Nintendo, and just, it felt like we kind of got Animal Crossing, and that was kind of it. I know we just had Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which is oddly, a lot of spicy takes I've seen on that. I think, people feeling the $60 price tag maybe wasn't right. A lot of people comparing it to other remakes that honestly were in a totally different scope. I don't think it's fair to look at Resident Evil 2 and compare it to what this is. But say what you will, Nintendo is very clearly preparing to release new hardware next year. They are a hardware manufacturer. They make games, but the reason they make the games are to sell the hardware. And so it's very clear to me that they are preparing to launch new hardware in the form of a Switch Pro or something along those lines. And it seems like they are saving a lot of what might have been talked about this year. COVID is also another factor. So COVID pushes things out, and then at that point they're like, oh, should we show it now, or should we just let Mario get us through the holiday? Which honestly, it's not even really a Nintendo holiday as much. Well, I say that, but it's probably still gonna sell gangbusters. But with next gen, that's gonna vacuum up all the attention, I guess you'd say. And so I think Mario, they're just going to ride that through the holiday, do a little bundle, keep riding on that Animal Crossing positivity wave that's still going somehow. But I have a feeling that once the Halloween event and then the Christmas event hits, those are going to be big uptakes and people getting back into the game. And then next year, I would expect to see a little bit more. Maybe even in that January Direct we typically get, that would be when I start to get some Nintendo hype back, because they've had a record year of Switch sales, and they're going to have a Switch Pro probably next year. And so, I'd say we'll start to see some early trailers of cool stuff next year. But
okay, well, again, super excited for everything coming out in 2021. But what's coming out here in 2020 is the Xbox Series X and Series S. Next item up for discussion here. Pre-order details have now been given out for the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. You'll be able to pre-order your console starting on Tuesday, September 2nd. I believe, beginning on September 22nd, you'll be able to pre-order at 8 a.m. Pacific time at the following retailers: Microsoft, all the big ones: Microsoft, Amazon, Best Buy, GameStop, Walmart, Target, Sam's Club, Newegg, and other participating retailers, and that is for the United States. I'll definitely keep this up here for just a second here, so if you guys want to check out, depending on where you live, your country, you can definitely check out and see where they'll be available there. Also, pre-order is also available via the Xbox All Access program. If you want to utilize the All Access program, remember where you can get the Series S or the Series X bundled with 2 years of Game Pass Ultimate for $24.99 and $34.99 respectively. You can head over to, in the US, it'll be available at Best Buy, GameStop, Microsoft, and Walmart. That is where you'll be able to use the All Access stuff if you want to sign up for that. We're going to talk about PlayStation in just a minute. We got that at the end of the show. But with this here, how do you think this is going to go, Seth? Especially, considering everything that has happened so far with pre-orders this past week.
Yeah, and like Cameron said, we're going to talk about PlayStation here in a little bit and their pre-order situation, but I'm going to kind of talk a little bit about, these are two very different companies in the way that they approach the sale of goods. One thing that, and I'm going to dig more into this as we get closer, I've discovered that Sony is really good at communicating to retailers and to press. They're very good at communicating to press, in fact. You look at what they did last year, or sorry, earlier this year with the PlayStation 5, talking to Wired, doing those types of early articles, right? Huge success, built a lot of hype. When they start to talk to retailers, right? They tend to communicate very clearly what their intentions are. They communicate very clearly that we are selling these first party games, single player games. They don't really try and stiff retailers by giving digital exclusives, right? I think they're really good at that. I think where Sony needs to improve a little bit is communicating directly to customers, and that's all I'm going to say on that. Where Xbox is different. First off, I just want to go ahead and shout out Xbox has probably one of the best social teams in gaming, period. I think that I follow Josh Steineken, or Josh Stein as he goes by. He's the head of Xbox social right now. He is just such a funny dude. He's just an all-around great guy. Always tweeting about his amazing beard, his amazing team that he works with at Xbox. He had actually been on the Mixer social side previously, and then he moved into Xbox shortly after that. So yeah, it's so they're really good at communicating to customers. And I also think that when you look at Microsoft, they have a store. Like, you can open the Microsoft store on your PC right now, and you can actually go over to devices and products, and they sell Microsoft Surfaces. They sell Xbox hardware straight inside the Windows app. They sell it through their website. Sony started doing that just this year. They did, like, used to, you could not really buy much directly from Sony. They had a storefront, but they never really pushed it. They wanted you to go to retailers to pre-order, right? The Amazons, the GameStops, right? Those were the people they relied on. And I think that kind of blew up in their face this time. Whereas with Xbox, I think there's going to be two things working for them. A, they are going to be better able to set expectations as they've done, saying when pre-orders are going to go live. And B, I also don't think that, and don't take this the wrong way, this is not a loaded statement, but I don't think that the hype for a Xbox Series X or S is going to be as high as the PlayStation 5, because Microsoft has taken this very crossfade approach where we're going to kind of ease into next gen versus, you got to get it right now. And that's kind of what they communicated. So
just a tip.
That's how you start. Exactly. So I think that it's going to be a little bit better, but realistically, they're all still going to sell out. They're going to sell out instantly, either from legitimate purchasers or scalpers who think they're going to be able to flip these. The one thing I will say in both instances, do not buy from scalpers. Do not buy from scalpers. You will be, if you want to buy a Series X or PS5 this year, you will be able to. Do not worry about that. There is going to be plenty of stock for people who want to get them this year. Will you get it right at launch day? Maybe not. In fact, those who pre-ordered within the first 30 seconds are maybe not going to get theirs on launch day.
There are a lot of cancellations, people kicking back on that. And even Rurutu in chat says a lot of people I talk to on Discord are going through the PS5, but not at launch. And then also, even the other comment as well says that they aren't even considering Xbox monthly fee thing at all. The all access plan. That is interesting. A part of me feels like I still haven't felt Xbox really pushing the all access plan. I made a comment on let's see if I can actually pull it up. A Twitter, I think a while ago. If you actually go to their website. So if you go to xbox.com, let me flip over web here. You go to xbox.com, you go to devices. I want to see the Xbox Series X. Ooh, man, it looks so good. I'm so excited. I want to buy this thing.
Also, I really want to point out just how great of a job the product team did on these landing pages.
It looks so much better than it did. We had a conversation off mic about this too.
We did. It's and you look at it, it matches the visual style that they're going for in the new dashboard. Like every step of buying an Xbox now feels like a consecutive journey versus this like weird disjunction, like, oh, I'm on a Microsoft website and then all of a sudden I'm on a gaming console. Like the design language is the same. So sorry to interrupt. I just wanted to shout out.
But like
it's such a good site.
Specifically, I come up here, look when I want to learn more and maybe buy it. The first thing that pops up is it doesn't say starting at $2.99 or $4.99. It says starting at $34.99 a month. And when you click and learn more, the All Access plan is the first plan that shows up. Yep. And so it definitely tells me that Microsoft is clearly using this All Access plan as, if anything, and again, I'll piggyback too. I don't want this to sound negative at all, but like as a mindshare thing to showcase, like even with the Series S, even with the PS5 digital version being $3.99, look, boom, $34.99 a month. People will be like, "Oh man, that's really cool," because people understand subscription services now. And but I still feel like we're not getting a lot of information from them about. Like, I feel like they're not pushing this. Like, and I guess, we still got a couple of months out, but like, where are the commercials where it pops up and says, like, the most powerful console, all the games you want, and the best highest fidelity, starting at $34.99 a month. Boom, Xbox.com. Like, where, and maybe I just have to sit in my hands and wait, and we'll see.
The marketing cycle, it's a little too soon to start the mainstream marketing cycle, because mainstream marketing is very expensive. Without getting too inside baseball on marketing and whatnot. Right now, the only people who really care about these things are, I would say, really like core and hardcore gamers, right? Like the people who are going to try their best to buy one day one.
Yeah.
And always remember this, core and hardcore gamers are not the majority. They are a minority, right? And so the mass populace of people that are out there are not necessarily going to be clamoring for this day one, but they are going to want this probably within the first 3 or 4 months, right? The holidays are going to be the time.
I mean, like you'll have a big pop the first week, and then Black Friday and the whole December time frame is really going to be your time to shine there.
Yeah. So, and I do think that things are going to be better than people are talking about. We talked about this pretty extensively on the Console Wars episode. So if you want to talk strategy of getting boxes to people's hands, go check that out. But I agree, like Xbox is going very, like I noticed that as well. They're going very hard on like, hey, the price is actually starting at $34.99. And that is, I think, another example of Microsoft getting into their own lane. They are continuing to distance themselves from Sony. They are becoming more of a best place to play when it comes to value. The key, I think, the core component of Sony's like approach to gaming is quality, right? They want quality, exclusive content. Microsoft we'll probably get to a point where they like start to talk about quality exclusive content, but right now the reality is that they've got to focus on value. Game Pass is always attached with the word value, and the best way to do that, and I talk about this so extensively in Console War, so please listen to that, but to buy a next-gen console and a next-gen game on PlayStation 5 is going to cost around $600, because remember, no games come with the PlayStation 5, right? Tax is a thing that you got to factor in. So you're going to be putting $600 down to walk out with one game. Microsoft is going to allow you to put $25 or $35 down and walk out with 150 games, right? So this is two totally different conversations that are happening right now. But bringing it back to pre-orders, I am interested to see how Xbox's pre-orders go, because they've actually given a specific date and time. And they've even, I've heard rumors of them kind of, I hate to use the word threatening, but like, threatening retailers with limited stock if they break this embargo, which is something we're going to talk a lot about in PlayStation's category coming up. But I'm really interested to see, like, is Microsoft's website going to go down? Is Amazon's page going to go down? If they don't, is it because not as many people are pre-ordering, or because this is the right way to do it? Because what they're doing, Cameron, is exactly what Apple does. And I think it's the best pre-order experience that anybody can offer. They say, here's the announcement, pre-orders start on this date, and I'm expecting the best place to go and buy this to be Microsoft's website. And, people are going to hover Amazon, people are going to hover GameStop, but remember, in theory, the amount that they are getting should be smaller than the amount that Microsoft is providing, because Microsoft is going to provide you the best experience to buy their box. I just hope that, Walmart, like, we can't rely on Walmart or Amazon to provide great customer experiences. They don't really care about that. They care about pushing the product, right? So,
well, my only big concern on these pre-orders is going to be if, hopefully, people have some type of plan in place for potential bots and other kind of software attacks on these websites that could crash them. I'll again, I feel like we're preluding to the PlayStation talk here, but I'll talk more in detail about that later. But it's just, I'm hoping that the fact that people now know the exact date these websites are going to be releasing this stuff doesn't bite them in the butt. Because hopefully these couple of days have given them time to prepare for what is probably going to be some pretty big traffic coming in on those websites too.
So we'll see. I hope it goes well, and I hope it's not a shit show, because if it is, then that's basically like, at that point I wouldn't know how to fix it, right? Like the only way I would know how to fix it would be to say, launching through the Microsoft Store November 10th, launching everywhere else November 17th, and basically just gating the retailers out. And at that point, you're declaring war on retailers who are your partners, right? It's not a great experience. So that's the only thing I could think of to make this better, because I think Sony's like on website experience is the best. We're going to talk about this. I think Microsoft's on website experience is going to be the best. It's just, are they giving a majority of their stock over to Amazon and Walmart because they think they're going to sell more over there? I really want that paradigm to shift away from that and get to come to Microsoft, come to Sony. But we're just in this state, like we're in this stage now where we're still carving out the dependency on retailers, and we're pretty well clear, but there's still a strong dependency on retailers to push these products. But I would say, GameStop and Walmart and places like that have lost a lot of their what would you say, their threatening aura around.
Sure, we could call it that.
But I just see the future being like, just like Apple. Like, the best place to buy an iPhone is from Apple. You can go to AT&T, you can go to Verizon. They'll sell you a bunch of garbage you don't need. But if you want to buy an iPhone, the best place to buy it is from Apple. And I hope that is how we look at these consoles moving forward. But I don't know if we're going to get there this gen. We'll see.
We'll see. It's not coming back, though. Unfortunately, let's all press F in chat or have a moment of silence. Next story up for bid here. The Nintendo 3DS is now officially discontinued here. This being read here from Owen S. Good over at Polygon.com. Nintendo has formally discontinued its 3DS handheld gaming platform. Word spread early Thursday, with Twitter users in Japan noticing the remaining 3DS models on Nintendo's Japanese language website listed as out of production. A Nintendo spokesperson confirmed the end of the 3DS in a statement to Polygon. Quote, "We can confirm that the manufacturing of the Nintendo 3DS family of systems has ended. Nintendo and third-party games for the Nintendo 3DS family of systems will continue to be available in the Nintendo eShop, on Nintendo.com, and at retail. The existing library of more than 1,000 Nintendo 3DS games contains many critically acclaimed titles and can provide years of content to explore and enjoy." End quote. Let's all have a quick moment of silence for the Nintendo 3DS. Thank you. Seth, how do you feel about
it's
about time.
It's about time. The 3DS, I think it's the end of an era for the idea of a handheld gaming console, right? Since the Game Boy, there has always been a Nintendo handheld console. And I think that the Nintendo handheld console has given us some of the greatest Nintendo experiences ever. Pokemon, remember, is a mostly handheld experience. A lot of the like really great 2D Zeldas are handheld experiences, right? There's just so many amazing games that came out during the DS and 3DS era. And it sucks to see it go, but also I remember a time when they would talk about 3DS in the directs. You know, you remember 2017, 2018, they were still announcing games for the 3DS
Yes.
in Nintendo Directs, and people were like, and myself included, were like, get that garbage out of here. I want stuff on the Switch, right? And I can't remember, there was one game I got really salty about that they announced that was coming to like 3DS. I can't remember what it was, but I was like, why not put that on Switch? Like, it might actually been Pokemon Sun and Moon. I think that was the one where I was like,
yeah, I would have liked that on the
put it
Switch.
on, because like I loved those games. I just wanted them to look. I wanted the gameplay of Sun and Moon, but with the look of Sword and Shield, right? And that was because I love that island theme. So that it really sucks to see it go. Some of my favorites included. I remember playing Ocarina of Time again on it, was really awesome.
I have that on my 3DS.
A Link Between Worlds.
So good.
Yeah. Like there were a lot of great experiences on 3DS. Well, what about you? What were some of your favorite 3DS memories?
3DS memories. The 3DS was really the system that really opened up my eyes to Fire Emblem. Like I remember playing Fire Emblem Awakening, and then like after that, it was just kind of downhill from there. I think I have it's where is it? It's right there. The red, you see the red boy right there. I've got Fire Emblem.
Flexing his shelf.
Yeah, I have to, put it up. But yeah, like the Fates, Pokemon X and Y, like, all the Pokemon games. Of course, I love them on there. But like I think the biggest memory aside from what you talked about, because I remember I played through and beat Link Between Worlds, and it was so awesome. But like a bunch of the Fire Emblem games, from Awakening to Fates to the remake of one of the original ones that came out on the 3DS. I love those to death. I haven't beaten them all, but I love them to death, and I've had a lot of fun with them, and it's really made me a big Fire Emblem fan. So I definitely thank the 3DS for that. Well, it's going to be sad to see it go, but it's kind of one of those, like, it's about time. It's been a decade, and
yeah, I think generally once a new console comes out, you can expect the old one to hang around for about 2 to 3 years. So it makes sense that the 3DS hung around for as long as it did. But yeah, Switch is king now. Like, Switch is here. It's on track to outsell just about everything, including the Wii. So yeah, it makes sense. It's time to move on and focus on the moving forward. And I do think that the Switch is a new era for Nintendo. There's no more divide between handheld and console. No more, separation of that, both from a graphical standpoint and a gameplay standpoint, right? Everything they're building is designed to be played and enjoyed on the go, but also on the couch. So I think the future for Nintendo is very bright, but yeah, let's pour one out. Let's get an FN chat for that legacy of handhelds all the way back to Game Boy, right? The original.
Very true.
So see you around, buddy.
Nintendo 3DS wasn't the only piece of gaming industry thing that decided to call it quits this week here. Next story up for bid here. The director of Beyond Good and Evil 2, Michel Ancel, has quit video games here. Reading this from Joe Screbbles over at IGN.com. Michael Ancel, creator of Rayman and Beyond Good and Evil, has said he's leaving the world of video games to open a wildlife sanctuary, but assured fans that work on Wild and Beyond Good and Evil 2 will continue without him. He said on Instagram, quote, "Today is a very special day for me. After more than 30 years, I've decided to stop working on video games and fully focus on my second passion, wildlife. My new project takes place in the real world and consists in a wildlife open sanctuary dedicated to education, nature lovers, and wild animals." Addressing his currently ongoing projects, Ancel reassured fans, quote, "Many of you might want to know what will happen to Wild and Beyond Good and Evil 2. No worries. Since many months now, the teams are autonomous and the projects are going super well. Beautiful things to be seen soon. This game, I feel, is approaching. I have different tiers of like length of time it takes to make a game, and we are slowly approaching Final Fantasy VII Remake levels of this game. And if they're not careful, they're going to approach Duke Nukem Forever levels of delay with this game. Seth, what do you think about this news?
I gotta ask you, where does Final Fantasy Versus 13, later known as Final Fantasy 15, land on that scale for you?
It's like right. It's like that and Final Fantasy VII Remake are fighting for a battle between like the second to the top.
Yeah, it's. I can't imagine that it's easy to work at Ubisoft right now. Ubisoft has had a rough year, for lack of a better term, and I personally, Cameron, hope that I sometime reach a point in my future where I just retire and spend all my time with animals, like, or whatever your passion is, right? Like, this guy's he created Rayman. All right, this man is very wealthy, so I don't think that this is I don't think this is like anything's going on at Ubisoft other than what we've already heard about. But I could very easily, like, I have worked at a company as it has kind of been going through large cultural changes before, and it's something where if you are someone who's been there for a really long time, or you are someone who's very anchored to the history, right, when everyone's pushing for change, sometimes you just you sit down one day and you look at the numbers and you're like, you know what, this is more stress than it's worth. I'm gonna see myself out. And Dark Knight has a great quote: you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And so you kind of get to this point, it's like, you know what, instead of watching my love for this company I've spent decades with deteriorate over the next 2 or 3 years as we go through radical changes. And I'm not saying that this person like anchored to the past, but like, it makes sense. Like, it is emotionally exhausting when your company that you put years and years of service into hits a rocky road like Ubisoft has, right? Like, can you imagine finding out that some of your peers or coworkers have been abusing people like that? And, obviously the banhammer is brought in swiftly and they're dealt with. But then on the other hand, it's like, oh, well, I just lost everyone that I knew, right? And so you have this double betrayal of like, everyone I knew was not that great, or some of the people I knew was not that great, but then also they're gone now. So like, I'm kind of alone, right? So you get a little loneliness, you get a little betrayal. So I'm not saying that that's what's happening here, but yeah, I mean, if I had been at Ubisoft for a long time and wasn't part of the purge that recently happened, then yeah, I'd probably say I'd be looking at what's next. And if I've got money like he probably does, opening a wildlife reserve.
I mean, more power to him that he can do that, man. Go follow your dreams. 30 years in the gaming industry, that's a long time. That puts a lot of years on you. I mean, we've talked enough about that here in the show. Yeah,
and you think about I just think about like Nathan Drake at the end of Uncharted 4, man. Like, that dude just wanted to. He's like, my days of adventuring. I'm ready to enjoy life, and that's.
Like, I'm done.
That's real. That's real. That's a real feeling you'll have. So
I want to let it be known. Rurutu in chat has shifted my scale of delay timeline. We're going to take Duke Nukem Forever and slide that down and put Star Citizen as the number one, because that game technically is still not out. Oh my god. But no, I mean, Beyond Good and Evil 2, it was announced in 2014. We really didn't even see it until 2017, and even then it was... No, we saw that. That was when we had like that video demo thing. Mm-hmm. I still don't... I mean, it's 2020. We haven't really heard of the game or seen it since. God only knows when that thing is coming out.
The last thing I heard is they were going to crowdsource the music for the game, and I was like, well, that's going to blow up in their face. And then it did, and then they went quiet. But, I mean, I don't have any love or nostalgia for Beyond Good and Evil. I tried it once when it came to back compat and was like, this game a little too old for my taste, and so I kind of ducked out real quick. I have little to no hype for Beyond Good and Evil 2.
Yeah.
I hate to say that. Like, I'm sure someone out there is screaming and shaking their fist at the screen, but... It's just you gotta if I don't have the nostalgia there, you have to show me why it matters. right? You have to show me what about it is exciting. And all I've kind of seen so far is very unrealistic, lofty expectation of like, we're going to make Grand Theft Auto 5, but you're going to go to different planets with flying cars. And I'm like, okay, yeah, but like, I'll believe it when I see it, right? From a studio that hasn't.
We're still waiting for it. It's been
that hasn't produced it. So.
Since its announcement, it's been 6 years. So,
listen, man. Like I said, I hope that one day I can just retire and open an animal reserve. Like that's. He's the real winner here. Let's be real.
He is. 100% is. Although technically, you can consider us the real winners as well, because we finally got details about the PlayStation 5 and a super awesome showcase, guys. It's time for topic of the show here. We're going to roll right into the PlayStation 5 Showcase. We didn't talk about it during Console Wars. That was specifically to talk about kind of the comparison between PlayStation and Xbox. Again, if you want to hear all the conversations about that, we got a 3-hour show for you for Console Wars Episode 7. You can go check that right out there. But this one, we specifically saved everything that happened in the PlayStation 5 Showcase to talk about here, right here, for you guys here. Let me make sure I'm pulling up all my goodies so I know what I'm talking about.
And what's great is this is a saga. This isn't just a single event. There's a series of...
There is.
To quote the book series and later Netflix series and also movie, it was a series of unfortunate events, perhaps. But it's I'm excited for us to talk about this. This is going to be a good one.
It's going to be a good one here. So we're going to dive right in, guys. First up, we're going to just talk about the showcase, everything that was detailed there, what we thought about all the announcements. And then we're going to go into the aftermath and all the crap that happened after the fact. So let's get right to it here. First up is... Oh my God. It was rumored... We were like, oh, are they going to show it? We don't know. They show it off. Final Fantasy 16 is real. It's a thing. And it looks damn good, especially on my monitor as I'm watching this right now. Man, that looks great.
Yeah. It's actually weird. I didn't go back and rewatch this like I did with a lot of things. And so like I'm going to feel that second wave of hype with you on this.
So at the beginning of the show, they immediately said that like this thing popped up saying... This title is running on a PC emulating PS5 hardware, which immediately tells me off the bat this game is still got a while to cook. I'm not gonna. I honestly think this is a late 2022 game, maybe 2023 title here.
2024 is the earliest we will see this game.
You think 2024? Oh my God!
Yeah, this will be a. I mean, think about we got 7 remake 2016, wasn't it? 2017? And it didn't come out until this year?
Yes.
And that was a remake that covered about 2 hours of the original game.
Oh yeah,
but I digress.
This has a completely new team. It's like Creative Business Unit 3. Surprisingly enough, we found out about this after the show, but one of the producer for this game is Naoto Yoshida. Now, you probably like, who the hell is that guy? If you are a Final Fantasy 14 fan and started getting vibes from the character models and everything in this game, don't be surprised. Yoshida-san is basically the guy who brought Final Fantasy 14 back from the dead after it was crap. He was the one who actually worked on the project to make it what it is today. So that's really exciting for me. That's also the reason why we've kind of gone back to the fantasy setting. And we're not back in like the futuristic, the fantasy is the new reality thing that Final Fantasy 15 and a lot of the games previously were doing. Did this do anything for you? Because of course, like if for the love of God, if you haven't watched me at all, I'm a huge Final Fantasy fan, so I'm like 100% in, throwing my money at the screen. Yoshi P is a very, very amazing dude. If you want to hear all about his rescue and salvage of Final Fantasy 14, please check out the No Clip documentary series. Lots of great interviews with him. But yeah, I will be real with you. I think that when you look at Final Fantasy, when Final Fantasy VII came out,
we switched from Final Fantasy and went to Final, like steampunk, right? It was all, futuristic belt buckles, that kind of, that
Okay.
that thing, right? And they carried it through. I think Final Fantasy 12 was probably the closest we got to maybe getting back to the like fantasy roots of like, hey, sword and sorcery kind of thing. So for me, this is a welcome return to that. I love the look of this game. I'm very intrigued by the story to find out, there's a it looks like a younger kind of prince, got some kind of power, Phoenix power. I was joking with my fiance and was like, oh man, the Phoenix Force is coming to Final Fantasy. I'm just ready for Professor X to roll around the corner with Sid. But I think I'm going to call it the Seto Kaiba life point drain moment was the console exclusivity to PlayStation 5. That was actually, you talk about...
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
You talk about chess moves in the console wars. That was a big one. And now we got to like prepare for a lot of fine print, prepare for a lot of asterisks, prepare for a lot of trailer edits.
100%. Because this was the trailer edit. The screen looked a whole lot different during the showcase, but when they uploaded the trailer individually, this is the new background as well. Originally, during the show, it had said also available on PC. Now they have edited it to say PlayStation 5 console exclusive, with an asterisk that says not available on other platforms for a limited time after release. So clearly showing that this is a timed exclusive. But now I figure the PC version still stands, but that does leave a little bit of ambiguity on if this is going to come to Xbox at all. What are your thoughts on that?
A lot of our conversations tonight are going to be about semantics. What is platforms? What is a limited time? Right? There's 1 month. There's 1 year. Those are totally different approaches to it. I do think that when you look, and we've talked about this before, Sony has an unbeatable edge in Japan. They just do. And the Final Fantasy 13 was the first one to break out and do a simultaneous release on both Xbox and PlayStation 3 at the time, Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3. You have to understand also that at the time, Xbox 360 was the market share leader. They were riding high. They had the love and adoration of fans, right? Sony was in a bit of more a perilous situation. They had the second job situation, the 599, Ridge Racer, all of that stuff that Xbox fans love to invoke in all of this, right? So they were riding off of that. So it makes sense from Square Enix's perspective. They wanted to diversify and make sure that they could reach people who didn't buy the thing. Well, then all of that changed when the PlayStation 4 took the lead once again in this previous generation. Now, I think they probably got to a point where they started to look at some of the numbers, and Sony also probably pulled out their checkbook a little bit for this one and said, hey, what is it going to take to get you back in the at least timed exclusive camp? Because this was the opener for a reason, Cameron. It was the opener for a reason. And I was like, I looked over at my fiance, and I'm a huge Xbox fan, and I've been a little bit harsh on them this year just from a strategy regarding they're letting a lot of things slip through their fingers while they've been trying to lock down this like ultimate platform, right? They're letting a lot of things slip through their fingers. And I was like, man, this just invalidated everything Xbox did this year to build up like first party game hype. Yes, Avowed looks amazing and has potential to be another Skyrim, but it is an unproven franchise, right? There is a lot of anticipation for Fable. Again, this is coming from folks who make a open world racing game, a really good open world racing game, but they don't make RPGs, right? So there's a lot of unproven promises.
Well, whereas, go ahead. I'm sorry.
When you look at Final Fantasy, there's 16 of these bad boys for a reason. Like, they are consistently good. And with Yoshi P at the helm, I would say that, WoW, put WoW in its own thing, right?
Well, and I think, Yoshi P's a producer, for the game, because I'd imagine they still have been working on 14.
Yeah.
I think the director for this game was like an assistant for Yoshi P under 14. So he was one of the main head bigwigs, and it looks like they're giving him the opportunity to lead his own Final Fantasy numbered game, which is a big deal, especially in Japan. What's also interesting as well, I swear if I had the information I'd pull it up, but the gentleman who's actually running the combat for this game, his previous works, he was actually part of the team who worked on the combat for Devil May Cry 5 and a couple of other
Dogma.
And Dragon's Dogma, 2 very good action games. So that's going to be very interesting and very excited. I know we saw the trailer, kind of the action-oriented part there of kind of doing the spell. So I'm really excited to see how that kind of bleeds into the Final Fantasy franchise.
This was, man, you want to talk about a gigaton opening. This was a gigaton opening. It was huge.
People, and this isn't a knock on anybody, there are people who will buy a PlayStation 5 purely because of this game. Yes, it's not going to be out for a couple of years, but the mention of next Final Fantasy console exclusive, they instantly in for PlayStation 5, I can guarantee it.
That's been Sony's MO for years. You know, I talk about it all the time. The E3 of Dreams announced a bunch of games that wouldn't come for another 3 years. And that made people stop second guessing themselves and said, nope, just go ahead and get it. Like, I know I'm getting this stuff.
Rurutu in chat says that trailer just sold 2 million units in Japan.
Yeah. And like you say that, Rurutu, the thing about it is Final Fantasy is big in Japan, but it is bigger. Like, it is a Western, as far as popularity, that thing targets Western audiences way more than it does target Japanese audiences. Square's, like, Dragon Quest is what targets Japanese audiences. That is the game that
is true.
Japanese
That's a good point.
Are going to buy left and right. And I mark my words, Mr. Kearns. Dragon Quest 12 will be coming to the PlayStation 5 exclusively. I know we're getting Dragon Quest 11 and Game Pass and things like that, but I've talked about this at length, and it's just getting to the point where it's like people just have to realize Microsoft cannot win Japan because Japan has 2 of the best console manufacturers in the world right now. And why would they release a game exclusively on Xbox when very few people in their native country have that compared to a PlayStation? And yeah, I mean, we talked about this in Console Wars a lot, but it's like the same pride that a lot of people in America have from buying made in the USA products. Japanese folks have that same pride in buying Japanese made games and products. So it's a losing battle, sadly, but yeah, getting the exclusivity back, big deal on this. Yeah. Big deal.
Rurutu in chat also says, will Microsoft go for China since there is no consoles there these days? Both. I mean, all Microsoft and Nintendo and Sony are trying to go into China. The big trick there is that regulations are making it a little bit difficult and a little hard to get those consoles in. Like, we'll have the consoles out this year. China may not get it until like middle of next year, if at all. Yeah. There's a lot of regulations they have to jump through.
Being very blunt, it is hard to be doing it right now in the current climate. It's hard to do business with the U.S. and China in a hey, we're working with both of you, right? Like, if you work with one, the other doesn't like you, and vice versa. So, and I don't want this to skew into anything else, but like that's just the reality. I've shared this on Console Wars. I've shared this here before. I'm a shareholder in all 3 of the major console manufacturers, and so I follow them on more than just oh my god, new Mario, right? Like I follow them from a financial standpoint, from a business strategy standpoint, and right now it is not advantageous to say we're launching something in China just because you want to sell this thing to the States right now, right? Like new generation consoles are coming out this year in the States, and the last thing you want is a crazy news story about some executive order or something else that's going to tax you or limit your ability to sell these consoles. So maybe, but it's going to be later.
Yeah, we'll definitely see. Next up, immediately after that banger of an opening here. We got this game. We finally got gameplay. Spider-Man Miles Morales gameplay coming. I walked into this showcase really expecting this to get delayed. Honestly, with all the delays, especially Halo 5 getting delayed, I was like, man, this game's going to get delayed. I just feel it. It is not. It is confirmed 2020. It is a launch title for the PlayStation 5 on November 12th. Seth, you go first. What did you think of the footage they showed here? I mean, again, this, like me sitting on my 2K monitor, this looks great. It looks awesome.
Yeah, it's this is phenomenal. I mean, this is the killer app. This is why Sony acquired
Insomniac.
Thank you so much. This is why they acquired them. This is what PlayStation fans want. This is so Sony it hurts, and it is why you are not able to pre-order PlayStation 5s right now. It is because of this game. I will tell you, it is because of this game. This is the thing that is creating urgency to buy that thing.
I've heard way too many people, like on Twitter, with friends, social media, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, you name it, that tell me, even on the lowest part of the spectrum, I'm like, I don't really care for God of War. I didn't really like Horizon. I don't like Persona. All these other exclusives I didn't really like. But man, Spider-Man was real good, and I can't wait to play Miles Morales. Like, full stop. Like, and it's an exciting time. I'm very happy to see that they are very much sticking with the fact this will be a launch game. I think I talked about it before in last month's Console Wars that, like, what does PlayStation have to do to be successful? This has to be a launch game. If this is a launch game, especially now that Halo Infinite is delayed for the Xbox side, this is a big get and a big plus for people who are looking to try and buy a next-gen console.
I think this is, and I had this whole gag lined up, Cameron, I was going to do with you in Console Wars, where like I bring up a picture of like a screenshot from Spider-Man, and I like drag over the Miles Morales, and then I add in like a snowy GIF, right? And like, we finished development, it's gone gold, right? I had this whole gag lined up, but I didn't think it was in proper taste to do that, because this game is going to probably be a very similar map. I think they're probably got a couple new areas. Like I know Harlem is a big one that's going to be super exciting to explore, especially on that street level, like that street fair segment at the beginning sounds really cool. Let me just go ahead and prep you. They are playing the exact same narrative playbook that they did last time. Here is the main villain, the trickster. That's definitely the main villain of this Spider-Man game. Just like they did with Mr. Negative. Not saying Mr. Negative is not awesome. He's a very cool villain, but not, the Sinister Six is that those are the villains that people think of, right? So I do think this is going to be a bit of a bait and switch. We got, is it okay for me to say who the main villain of the original Spider-Man? I feel like the statute of limitations is up on that, right?
Spoilers for Marvel Spider-Man for the next 30 seconds. Go.
30 seconds, yeah. So obviously Doc Ock was like the villain of that game, but it was really cool to see that happen because you saw him in the game and you're like, oh, maybe they're setting this up for the sequel. No, that was the game. Like, seeing his transformation was part of the game. So I expect something similar in this one. I'm sorry, like this whole combat sequence, I definitely have to give shout outs here. When the music and like the hip hop music kicked in on this, I was like, dude, hype. So hype. Dude, I'm so glad that Miles Morales is becoming a first name basis, like in the Spider-Man household, right? Like it is between Into the Spider-Verse and now this, it is so cool, especially the year that we have had, dude. Like the fucking year we have had. It is so nice to see someone like giving justice and not like pandering and not doing anything, like just trying to catch free brownie points.
To check boxes or fill a quota.
Yeah, to check boxes. They said, we want to take the Spider-Man game that is the most popular PlayStation video game ever sold, period. Yep. And we want to evolve it, not by making Spider-Man 2, but by making the continuation of Spider-Man, but from the perspective of Miles Morales that they teased in the last game, right? Like that was thing that was teased in the last game. So to see this happening, I am so very happy that Spider-Man Miles Morales is not delayed. I'm so glad I get to experience this at the beginning, right? This is one of those games you just expect to be delayed.
I'm still kind of like, I'm hopeful, especially now that they've revealed and announced everything and we're like 2 months away, but I'm still holding my breath like, please don't delay, please don't slip. Like, this is a game I'm super, super excited for. I'm sure just like everybody else when they get their PlayStation 5s, if they can get them this holiday, this is going to be like the first and foremost game they're going to fire up to test it out.
Yeah. What are some of your thoughts, excitements? What are some things you expect for Miles Morales?
I'm honestly like playing as Miles is going to be cool. We saw the combat sequence as well, like the different powers that Miles has with the camouflage and the venom shock. Especially in that combat sequence, the fact that you could definitely see that Venom Shock is probably going to be used very widely in his fighting style as opposed to Spider-Man and what he does. But no, I'm super excited about really getting a chance to explore. Honestly, I'm excited to play more Spider-Man. That's it. Like the Spider-Man. The 2017 game was one of the few games that I've actually platinumed on PlayStation. Like 100% of the main game, everything. I'm still working through, I think, the last DLC pack to completely platinum the whole thing. So I'm really excited to get a chance to see this game in action. Yeah, I'm also excited. People really haven't talked about it a lot, but the costumes. Like, what costumes are they going to throw in for Miles in this game? I want to see that. It's going to be really cool.
So I need to ask you this. There are elements of the Sony press conference that happened during the event, and then there were elements that happened after the event. Do we want to talk about the ones that relate to, like, do we want to talk about some of the stuff we learned about Miles Morales?
Weave it in. You definitely weave it in. 100%.
Okay. So the two big things here, and one of them is probably going to be a conversation we have a little bit later, but if you want to have it now, awesome. So this game is going to be $49.99 retail price, USD, of course. Yes. And there's going to be a collector's edition that is $69.99, so $70. That will include a remastered version of the 2018. Sorry,
it's 2018. You're right.
What is time? It's 2018. 2018 Spider-Man with enhanced visuals, further draw distance, faster, load times, enhanced resolution, all that next gen goodness, right? So that was kind of announced in the blog afterwards. A lot of recurring themes here will be, we learned in the blog afterwards.
Yeah.
And so
it also should be noted as well that they did announce in the blog and after the fact that Miles Morales will also be coming to PlayStation 4. So
the other thing,
if you're like, I don't know if I can spend money on a PS5, you'll still be able to get the game on PS4. You just won't have any of the next-gen goodness. But I digress.
So I have to go ahead and just start rubbing Sony's nose in it. What happened to 3 weeks ago when the We Believe in Generations, boy, it's bad look. Like, it is and I'm coming around on something. I'm like, you know what? I see they're a lot like Apple, and I put up with Apple's bullshit. So I need to be able to I need to be able to accept it. But man, what a absolute just slap in the face to the people that were really excited for this to play as a true next gen experience, and then to not only do this, and I want as many people to play this game as possible. And I'm not stupid enough to think that it's being held back or anything like that.
Clearly, Sony thinks the same thing too, and they want as many people to play it as possible. And honestly, and you know what's funny enough is, we rewind the clock a couple of months back when this game was first shown off. A lot of people were like, dude, is this coming to PlayStation 4? I really want this to come to PlayStation 4. Sony needs to make it come to PlayStation 4. And then it's so funny that it now it's coming to PlayStation 4. You don't believe in generation, Sony? The people specifically that are very contradictory like that is funny to me. But I don't.
Here's Cashy.
No, Sony's not. It was put very plainly in a good way to me on Twitter. Somebody tweeted out Sony is not going to ignore the 110 plus million PlayStation 4s out there. At least not in the transition period, as I'll quote unquote speak on that. And it's You know what we talked about on Console Wars again about like if this is holding stuff back. I don't. Short answer for me, I don't. You know, I gave my entire full detail on why I don't think it is holding stuff back. That being said, it does give some leeway for people that, you know, regardless, like you can still pick up this game without having to buy a PlayStation 5. And the nice thing I do like Sony doing is that you'll be able to get an upgrade to the PS5 version of the game at no cost. So whenever you're ready, if you want to upgrade to PS5, boom, you can do that. But no, it's just like the whole. We'll talk about it at the end of the showcase, but like, there's a lot of. There was a lot of this was an E3 conference, and I will explain why at the end when we're done talking about all of this to kind of
let's put a pin in next gen game pricing and generational transition.
Yeah, because otherwise
want to talk about that.
We're gonna fill this section for like 20 minutes. We'll talk about it at the end, because I know everybody wants to talk about, including Cash Family who just joined us in chat here. Welcome, Cash. Wants to talk about this next game coming up here. The Hogwarts game that got leaked like 2 years ago. We finally get to see it. Hogwarts Legacy is the name of the game. It is coming in 2021. Seth, I noticed...
Listen, this... Okay, so I need to give you an exact play-by-play. So yes, this is my background. I am all in on this. I need to give you an exact play-by-play of what was happening at my fiance's house, because we were actually staying with her family during this event, so we were watching it together on the couch. So my fiance's brother had broken down on the side of the road. He had called his mom to get some help. She was on the phone with the tow truck company 2 rooms away. So this comes on. I engage full Hype Lord powers, and I'm like, oh! And from the other room, I just hear in the most loud, yelling, professional mom voice ever, "Shut up!" Because I'm being too loud. And I was just screaming, man, look at, this is the Harry Potter game that we have dreamed of. Crazy, awesome magical creatures, spells, potions, everything. I was really interested to know where they were going to fall in the timeline. And I'm so glad they've chosen way before any of the Harry Potter books take place. This is in the 1800s. So it is going to be a early look at Hogwarts, back in its, even predating Dumbledore and
before Dumbledore, before Voldemort, before Harry Potter, all that stuff. It's way before then.
So I'm excited for this. It is, you can't talk about Harry Potter right now without talking about some of the stuff that J.K. Rowling has been involved in. And quite honestly, I just want to see... I want the Wizarding World, I've talked about this before, the Wizarding World as a franchise to distance itself from Harry Potter books, because Harry Potter's a legacy I don't think should go away. There's a really great Daniel Radcliffe video that talks about, basically gives advice on how to be a Harry Potter fan, given all of the hateful things that J.K. Rowling has said this year, and honestly in years past, just we didn't know about it mainstream until this year. He shares a lot of stuff. Basically, it is okay to love Harry Potter, just be mindful of, don't let yourself feel bad for loving a thing that you love because of somebody else who, quite honestly
don't let... And the big thing was, like, don't let J.K. Rowling and her stance on certain things prevent you from loving a franchise that, quite frankly, has gone beyond her. Like, when I think of Harry Potter, I don't think J.K. Rowling. Like, I was so excited for the game. Like, this weekend, I was like, hun, let's just watch. I just bought all of the Harry Potter movies in 4K on Apple TV a while back. Let's just watch. Let's watch them all.
Yeah, and I would say look at Harry Potter like a lot of people look at Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings was one of those, it had the benefit of time, right? Like Lord of the Rings came out long ago, and J.R.R. Tolkien was, long past since when they started making the films, right? But if I were to go up to somebody and ask them, hey, describe Gandalf for me, right? They're not going to describe the book version of Gandalf. They're going to describe the movie version of Gandalf, right? And that's because those movies took a book series and elevated it into a cultural status that now anyone can work, can connect to, right? And I think the same thing happened with Harry Potter. Daniel Radcliffe is Harry Potter to most people. That is just, that's just what happens when you port it to a movie, right? Like, a lot of people read the book, more people watched the movie. That's just the way media works, right? And so I, for bringing it back to the game, so excited for this. So excited. I want to see that character creator, man. I'm ready. I want to see here's the thing. I want to know, how does the character creator work? And also, how does house selection work? Because I'm very interested to see if they let you pick your house, or if the house is something that you
you have to answer questions or something like that, and they put you in a house,
or even like a tutorial, and depending on what you do in the tutorial, kind of dictates your behavior. Like, I love this idea of Dragon Age, right? Mm-hmm. Like, a lot of the behavioral, like that BioWare stuff. Like, if we're really going into the RPG direction, I would love to see the consequences of your actions being reflected in that. However, I do think that you've got to let people choose, because I do think that would be a bit of a controversy if you said, oh, you can't pick your house. But it's going to be really cool to see.
Yeah, and it's and it's, speaking on the J.K. Rowling situation for a minute, I will 100% say that it is this game got released and announced, and it's just a 100% very confusing time for a lot of Harry Potter fans. Everything with J.K. Rowling, my Twitter blew up. I was reading all these different notices from people should I support the game? Should I not support the game? Is J.K. Rowling making any money off the game? Because if she is, then I'm not going to support this. If you support this, then you're doing this. Well, you can still support this game because you want this franchise is bigger than her. I've heard all sorts of ideas. Buy the game secondhand. Wait till somebody trades it in, and this might be the one good thing that GameStop is here for. You're here to let us buy secondhand Hogwarts Legacy copies in 2021. That's it, GameStop. Don't do anything else. But I 100% don't know if there's the right answer. I mean, some people it was to the point that I read a tweet from one guy who dug in research and said he had proof that the developers the sale of the game does not go into J.K. Rowling's coffers. She doesn't get any money from people buying the game. And, this debate of well, if you buy the game, then you're supporting her, but if you don't buy the game, then you're hurting the developers. Which I don't know if we're ever going to know the answers to that. Especially if you buy the game, if it goes to her. I don't know if J.K. Rowling had the foresight to make licensing deals where she gets 1% of every piece of Harry Potter thing that's sold. I highly doubt that. Especially from a big corporation like WB, I'm sure they said, "Yeah, we're taking the money. We just want here's a check for a price. Yeah, we're taking the license, just full on stop." And
the Wizarding World is an entirely different franchise, right? There are things that happen, and I'm talking about the Wizarding World as WB. That is what they branded their Harry Potter content, right? They don't refer to it as the Harry Potter world. It's the Wizarding World, right? And they've branded that content separately because they want to explore other areas of the story that the books may not have covered, or may have covered, but in a way that doesn't really sync up. I know one thing in the Harry Potter fandom that really gets people worked up is the Cursed Child, right? This side story, J.K. Rowling
the play,
the play. So
no spoilers,
no spoilers, but it's it messes up some of the canon, right? And so some people reject it, right? Very similar to, I think, Rise of Skywalker. Some people reject it, even though it's quote unquote part of the canon, because it ruins their fun. And at the end of the day, don't let things ruin your fun, right? If I think Harry Potter is probably one of the most popular franchises in the world, especially in the U.S. I would say in the U.S. for sure.
And not even that, in reading through Twitter, I read all these different stories from a lot of people within the trans community and friends of the trans community and whatnot, detailing how hard this trailer hurt them because of all the people and the emotions and stuff that they went through and like kind of the period they were going through when they were first introduced to Harry Potter, and how like a lot of the Harry Potter stories really helped them through their processes in life. And so I it's really hard for me. I like Harry Potter. Like it's I'm not going to say it's not at Final Fantasy levels of hype for me, but it's really, really cool. And I've always thought that having like a current gen game based on that would be super, super awesome if they did it right. But like I said, I don't pity anyone, and I know that it's like a really hard thing to try and figure out, because you want to play the game, but you also don't want to support J.K. Rowling and the comments that she's throwing out there. And so like I don't pity anyone like with this decision they have to make and we have to make. And hopefully we'll get more information, and I'm sure fans, everybody will be banging on the doors asking questions like, give us the details, we want to know, because we need to decide if we're going to buy this game or not. And hopefully they can figure that out.
Yeah, Cash Family actually gave us some good context, and we can wrap up after this. So this is a quote from WB regarding her involvement. So J.K. Rowling is not directly involved in the creation of the game. However, her extraordinary body of writing is the foundation for all projects in the wizarding world. So that is in the official game FAQ. So, I mean, I think the blunt reality here is, yes, J.K. Rowling is going to get royalties from this game. The question, if you want to boycott it on a moral ground, you certainly can. I am here to tell you that there are a lot of people who are going to play and enjoy this game, and it's problematic for sure. But again, it's one of those where it's like, I do think that Harry Potter is bigger than J.K. Rowling. I think that it is one of those things where I want to support the people who are making this, right? Because as far as she's concerned, she's done with it, right? She just wants to sit back and enjoy the fruits of her labor, right? But these are people who are pouring their blood, sweat, and tears into making the Harry Potter game we've all dreamt of, right?
Yeah.
I still to this day love PS1 Hagrid memes, because it's just like, but that was, I'm telling you, Cameron, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, when I was a child, was my favorite PlayStation 1 game. I had a little PS1. Wow. It was the game I put more hours into. The game is garbage. It is not good. But because it was Harry Potter, I loved every minute of it. Lego Harry Potter is one of my favorites, not because it's better than any of the other Lego games. It's actually a lot worse than Lego Star Wars, but it's just so much fun to play in that universe, right? And it's so different than a lot of the other universes that are out there, right? It's got this it's able to pull off this like classic vibe without feeling like on the nose about it, because it's almost like they're aliens in the 80s and 90s, right? Like they're completely detached, and so they're like living 100 years in the past. So now it's interesting to see, like, what if we go 100 years in the past? How are things, where horse-drawn carriages are still a thing? And like, I'm just so excited to see how Portkey Games, and this is a new studio that was made just to make Harry Potter games. Portkey, is a thing from Harry Potter. This is similar to 343 or the Coalition, where this is a studio made to produce games from this IP. And so these are people who love Harry Potter, and they are going to pour their blood, sweat, and tears into it. And I think it would suck to rob them of the chance to succeed because of the failings of someone who's honestly, I've kind of written out, like, I don't even, like, yes, she created Harry Potter. Like, I can create something, but in order for me to respect and value your opinion, you have to maintain that respect, right? And since she's decided to kind of forfeit that respect in favor of, hurting those around her because it makes her feel like she's validating her beliefs, then I don't, I reject humanity, JoJo. Like, I'm JoJo's reference here, of course, but like, I just reject that, her involvement in this. And so it's hard to talk about. It's really hard to talk 100%. About, but I do want to see more of this game, and I want to see how they address this. What I would really think would be a great slap in the face is for WB to say, hey, you know what? We're going to commit a portion of this game's sales to LGBTQ
That would
charity.
Be awesome. That
would be, I think, the best possible thing. Now, are you going to take a little bit of a hit? Yeah. Are the shareholders going to like it? No. But you are going to literally buy back the love of all these people who might skip on the game or buy it used or something like that, because you are doing you know, I just finished Avengers, so let me quote the Avengers: "Good isn't a thing you are; it's a thing you do." Right, and so the best way for them to show good is to pay it forward, literally. So that would be my advice if you're listening, WB. Just commit to that, and heck, even print it on the box. Like that's the ultimate way to cement that legacy as being different. Like,
good point.
Proceeds from this game will go to benefit X charity and support of trans rights.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry, I went on a rant there. I love Harry Potter, and I hate what's happening right now.
Yeah, I'm with you. 100%.
But yeah.
Well, there is one game that we really don't have to worry about not doing well, and that is the next game up on the list.
First off, let me just tell you that this show was it felt like I was in the midst of Jotaro, just like I was just getting pounded like left and right with new game.
As I said, I will talk about it at the end of the show. This was an E3 press conference right here.
Yep.
Next up, Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. We got a little snippet from the first mission in the single-player campaign. The only question I have, and it's coming up here in a minute, is why the hell did this sniper miss the shot on the dude? I digress. He shouldn't have missed that shot. You'll find out in a second if you're watching the video. But Call of Duty got me back in with Modern Warfare last year. I'm really, really excited to get a chance to play this Cold War game this year. I should mention as well, it's over now, but they did say when this showcase got released that this past weekend, the PlayStation 4 members were actually able to access the Cold War multiplayer alpha. Mm-hmm. So PlayStation 4 players were the first to be able to play this game. But it's Call of Duty. It looks great. It's going to look even better on PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. People are going to buy the game. What do you have to say, Seth? I don't know.
I played the alpha, and I can give you your backup box quote.
Okay, go ahead.
It is Call of Duty. It is as tight as you remember. It is, and if you're really into Call of Duty, it's one of those things where I have to admit it to myself. Like, even I was playing Modern Warfare earlier today. Like, I am really into Call of Duty. Yeah, I'm not dude bro about it, but I love Call of Duty.
They found a really big new audience with Warzone, and getting people like basically that's the entry level drug to get you into Call of Duty games now. It's like go play Warzone, and then when you love it so much you just can't stand it, go buy the next yearly Call of Duty.
Yeah, and like this is a Treyarch Call of Duty, and if you're a Call of Duty fan, you know what that means. And so it feels like a Treyarch Call of Duty. You can see from the footage that you're playing right here, this is more of an action film than it is a military.
Oh, yeah.
And you think about, like, Modern Warfare, you had, these big, I forgot what they're called right now, but, like, these moments, I can't remember. What are they called? Like, just the big cinematic moments, right? That
big set pieces.
Set piece. Thank you. That was it. That was the word I was looking for. So these big set piece moments. But like, yes, we're gonna blow up a train with a plane with an RC car. Like, this is
Fast and Furious. Oh, I'm sorry.
Ridiculous, and I love it.
Sorry.
So yeah, between this and zombies and multiplayer, I'm very excited. The 80s vibe is great. I played the Miami map a whole lot during the alpha. And yeah, it's like neon lights in, that Vice City vibe, but in Call of Duty with these next gen graphics. And yeah, it's more Call of Duty, but that is good.
Yeah. The thing I'm liking about this game, and I'm sure I talked about it before, is the fact that it will have crossplay still and cross-gen multiplayer. So PS4 players can play with Xbox Series X players, and vice versa, and all around, and everything like that. I'm really excited to see. I talked about it before, like when a big name developer gets on the crossplay bandwagon, then everybody's going to take notice. And the fact that Activision is getting on that is a big freaking deal. And the fact that they're still going to do that in next generation means that even if you're not getting the next gen consoles, if you're a big Call of Duty fan, you'll still be able to pick up the game. You'll still be able to play with your friends in multiplayer. So that's really, really cool.
Looking good. Keep it up.
Next up here, at least I don't I think this. I don't think I started getting through like the bottom part of this, and some of this stuff may be out of order here. But I digress. We're going to talk about all of it anyway. Next up, The Village, Resident Evil 8.
Give it to me.
A new trailer was shown. We're watching it here. Seth, what's your beat on this game?
Dude, mega hype. Listen, Resident Evil's my jam. Resident Evil 7 was one of my favorite experiences from this last generation. I played it on PSVR. It was unbelievable. And this is giving me Resident Evil 4 vibes like I can't even tell you.
Yeah,
it
same
is
here.
Snowy mountains. Even at the end, they tease the shopkeeper, a little cheeky shopkeeper. Man, my hype levels are through the roof. My hype levels are through the roof for this game.
I want to see more. Like, they had the werewolves and the you see the werewolf throwing them out there, and they had the cute little story here they were detailing in Resident Evil. I have no idea if that's playable or not, but it would be cool to see. But no, Resident Evil, this trailer was really cool. We got to see more of this game. Still sticking to 2021. I don't think they gave a specific date. I will definitely say as well, like this, I'm really excited for where Resident Evil is headed, and Resident Evil 7 was a big part of that. Like, I played through Resident Evil 7. I loved every minute of that. I'm really excited to play through 8. Especially after playing that and Resident Evil 2 and 3. Just continue to, bring me back. I want to see what's going on with Ethan and whatever the hell these werewolf things are and what the hell's going on in this village. Like, give it to me. 100%.
It is so cool. Like, you think about Resident Evil as a franchise, started as this, tank controls, survival horror, and then it evolved into this over-the-shoulder, masterpiece of third-person action. I would even go as far to say, Resident Evil laid the groundwork for a lot of Sony's biggest franchises, right? Like, that over-the-shoulder action gameplay that was the first game that really took that in, a narrative focus, right? And took it in this, action survival horror, right? And then at 7, they pivoted back to looking at what Amnesia Dark Descent did for, the cat and mouse style of horror, and they really went in a direction I think was just so great. And that game is one of those games where, because did you beat 7? Did you beat 7 all the way through?
7.
Yeah, so there's 3 distinct parts of that game, and each one you feel cooler. So there's the beginning part where you are literally running for your life, and then you get a gun 6 hours in or whatever, and then you're like, okay, I can kind of defend myself. Let's explore a little bit, do some puzzles, but I still got to watch out for the big bad. And then there's the end, which is I'm done. Yeah, it's the same Resident Evil formula they've always done, but it was done in such a way that it felt like Doom did, where you're ramping up in power.
Yeah, okay.
And so by the time you get to the end, it's not like you're plowing through everything and it feels boring. You're plowing through everything and you're hype, like you're riding the high. So I'm excited to see how is this going to play into that, especially looking at games like Blair Witch, Amnesia, Outlast, those continuing to draw inspiration from that, but doing it in this snowy, European style approach. It really gives me Resident Evil 4 vibes that I'm looking forward to. So
Jade in chat asks, biggest question for Resident Evil, are there herbs? There have to be. I figure there
will be herbs.
Herbs, however you say it. Next up here, we have a quick preview here. Oddworld Soulstorm, a new trailer was released for that. Kind of detailing a little bit of that, kind of quick pop in there. Do you have any beat on Oddworld? Because I do not.
Dude, Oddworld creeps me out. I don't like the aesthetic of it at all, and I was really surprised they gave it this much time. I will tell you, once my new metric, Cameron, for helping video game companies check how popular they think their game is going to be, this is my new scale for that. Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, the game remastered, will sell better than this game, just because.
Oh wow! Okay.
I've never met someone in my life who's been like, man, I love Oddworld. Oddworld is just this weird franchise. It's I'm not a fan. I don't like. I have zero interest in these. Even back in the OG Xbox, they did Abe's Odyssey.
Mm-hmm.
I remember playing the demo disc and was like, not for me. Don't care. Give me the Mech Assault, baby.
Well,
give me the. I want the magma launcher.
well, maybe you do care about our next game here. Five Nights at Freddy's Security Breach got revealed. I didn't even know where the hell they were going with this game. Apparently, a new Five Nights at Freddy's game is coming. Anything, Seth?
Yeah, so I love the idea of Five Nights at Freddy's. Like I've said just a moment ago with Resident Evil, I love the cat and mouse style horror.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that's always turned me off to those games is that it felt like a very simple mobile game, right? It was all about jumping between the cameras and closing doors. It was basically switches and levers, right? And I think the thing that I wanted to see, because dude, like I watch a ton of VTubers that play these games. Like there's just a dime a dozen from like Korea, and there'll be these like horror games, right, that take place in like an ancient shrine or a temple, right? And I'm like, I just want that. Like that's what, it's basically like a really crappy version of Amnesia. And I'm like, what if somebody took a like Amnesia formula and applied it to Five Nights at Freddy's? It could be a really great cat and mouse horror game. And I think this is what they're going for in this. Especially, I would love to see like mousetrap style traps and things to like protect yourself, like the idea of like closing the door right as it gets to the door, right? And it like that old Jurassic Park scene where the raptor's like right up on the window breathing in, like that type of tension is what I want. And I hope that they do this because, like, believe it or not, Five Nights at Freddy is a powerhouse franchise. Like,
well, apparently not to the people in chat here. Both Cash Family says let Five Nights at Freddy's die, and then Jade in chat says this. Not to be mean, I know there's people that love Five Nights at Freddy's, but it feels so overplayed and redundant at this point.
But what if they want to take it in a new direction? Like, I will admit, it's the same. They kept releasing the same game with a new gimmick each time. But like, what if they want to take it in a direction more like
it? Go ahead.
More like Amnesia: The Dark Descent, or more recently like the Call of Cthulhu game, which was more like it was a weird hybrid between like an adventure game and a role-playing game, because you're like putting stat points in, and then like if your strength is high enough, you can open the door, but if not, you got to go around and sneak, like that kind of stuff. Like that's I think about that type of gameplay, and like there's something genuinely scary about being trapped at a Chuck E. Cheese with a murder robot. Like,
I don't disagree with you. If they can make some changes and kind of reinvent themselves, I'm fine with that. But I would agree with chat. I feel like every time I see Five Nights at Freddy's, it's the same game every time, and yet they still sell so many. He sells so many copies. So
yeah,
I don't know. We'll have to wait and see on this one.
Can I ask you to do me a favor real quick?
Yes.
I need to turn on my ceiling fan and grab a soda from the fridge. This will take me approximately 45 seconds. Can you riff for me? Can you entertain chat?
Can I riff? They asked. Of course I can entertain chat. Go do your thing.
I'm gonna step off camera for just a moment. BRB.
This one. Jade M in chat actually says if this one goes in a new direction, then that would be great. I just haven't seen anything but the exact same gameplay with a new skin for the last few Five Nights at Freddy's. The Cash Family says just make a Salad Fingers game and let Five Nights at Freddy's go. No, like I said, I 100% agree. I think that all the Five Nights at Freddy's games have just been carbon copies. It felt like it. Maybe some new little gameplay tweak here or there, but really not much. And so it does concern me that they showed this, but they showed the environment, but they never really showed any gameplay for this game, except for the last little bit, which kind of plays out the same way as other games before. But, I don't know. We'll have to see, guys. We'll definitely check it out and find out and see. Five Nights is not my cup of tea. It's just not. I don't know. I digress. I'm probably just talking about my butt here. No, but now he's back. He made it.
I'm back. So sorry. Good. I also changed into some shorts because I'm getting a little overheated in here.
Yay! That's what
ceiling fan.
That's the secret, guys, because I did that tonight too. Like I'm wearing my shorts now.
I'm back. I'm back and ready to rock and roll. Did you talk about anything cool while I was gone?
Nope. We just reiterated on what we already talked about here. But we're about to talk about something cool right now. Deathloop the next video up on the docket here, we got. I will say this is the trailer. I was slowly getting more and more excited for this game. This is the trailer that made me hype for this game here. The trailer's called Two Birds, One Stone, and it really goes through the gameplay and really details like what you can do. Kind of the long and short of it is like, you've gone through the loop so many times, and now you know how to kill this one guy, but you have a certain amount of time to kill all 8 of the people. And so there are things you can do in the game to kind of try and make people be in the same area at the same time. That way you can kill them both at once without having to jump halfway across the map. This was really, really cool. Seth, what did you think about Deathloop showing here?
Listen, Deathloop is one of the reasons that I am buying a PlayStation 5 at launch, because I want to get ready for this game. I love everything Arkham does. Sorry, Arcane, not Arkham. Different thing. I love everything that Arcane has done. Dishonored was one of my favorite stealth action games. So this to me, I know how this game plays, right? It looks a lot like Dishonored. But I was curious, how do you get this time loop thing to be interesting and not feel like a roguelike, right? And because that's a very divisive term that turns a lot of people off, because we want to feel like we're making progress. And this gives me the vibe that it's going to feel a lot like The Witness, whereas The Witness was a game all about aha moments, right? Where you have an aha moment, and then now that you have the knowledge, you are equipped with the knowledge to succeed in the game, right? That's going to be the same way here. Like, you're going to go through and you're going to kill target number 1, and you're going to be like, all right, cool. The problem is I'm running out of time. So we're going to be coming up with new strategies and tips to try and get these people to like meet up, or, to kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And it's going to honestly feel like a mousetrap, like setting up a trap, right? Like, it's going to be all about making sure people are at the right place at the right time. And that is such a unique, like, when I think about what is next gen gaming, this is what I'm thinking about. I've talked before about I'm expecting next gen systems, right? Not just next gen graphics. But this is the idea that I'm talking about, where there are 8 unique AIs that are functioning in this open world environment, and I've got to figure out the best way to hunt them all down. Now, you ask yourself, Cameron, you say, well, once you figure out the puzzle, it's solved, right? You can't solve the puzzle a second time. Well, that's where you have another person who is literally hunting you in the game. They are the agent of anarchy, right? To make no 2 playthroughs the same.
Yeah.
This game hits all the, like, this is going to be a fun game to watch speedrun. It is going to be a fun game to watch on streaming, watch a streamer play it, because when the invasions happen, like, this is a game that encourages stream sniping in the most literal term possible, right? And so it is such an exciting and refreshing take on what I think next gen gaming should be about. And you're seeing some gameplay here of I can't remember the name of the assassin, but she's basically hunting you. And she even says, she's like, well, you've got 8 targets, but I've only got 1, right? It's just so. This is one of my most anticipated games of next year, because I know this is going to be a game that feels uniquely next gen.
Okay.
What about you? Tell me where are you sitting on this?
I'm completely hyped. I'm super excited. I feel I was one of the people that was late on the Dishonored bus with the Dishonored 1 and 2. I made up for it. I bought the Dishonored 2, which came with the version of Dishonored 1, so I could play them both. This gave me the itch to go back and play Dishonored 2. And I just like Deathloop is. I feel it kind of sucks that it got delayed to next year, but this really, really got me excited to kind of jump back into that game and kind of show me why I liked the Dishonored game so much. And now that Deathloop kind of has that same feel because it's from Arcane, then now I can go back in and I can start jumping in and playing this game in quarter 2 2021, like trying to figure out these puzzles and like how can I get these people together, or what can I do to kind of kill all my targets in the fastest way possible without getting killed by the other assassin. It's going to be really cool. I'm super excited about this.
I want to see the person who is able to pull off killing all 8 targets with 1 bullet.
Oh my god.
Do you think that would be possible? To get them all around an explosive barrel of some kind, or to trigger a chain reaction that...
I don't know.
What a cool marketing pitch that would be.
I think there's possibility for that, in which case that would be like one of the most hardest things to do, and like all the work you'd have to go in to make that happen. And then like everything would have to be perfect for that to happen. I think that's my thought.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm very excited for that game.
The Cash family in chat says, now I need to go play Dishonored. Thanks, Cam. You got it, buddy. You got it.
Do it.
Next up here, I want to save the big one for last. So next one is Capcom. You saw Capcom on the screen. I was like, ooh, is this the Automata game that got announced? No, it's not. But I still think very equally cool here. Devil May Cry 5 is getting a special edition mode. I believe they have like if you've played Devil May Cry before, they're adding in the Dark Knight, Legendary Dark Knight mode. They have, I think, the Bloody Palace mode where you can like practice and fight. Basically, it's like a gauntlet mode where you just go up towers. And then the big one here, as you guys are seeing in the trailer, if you're watching, is that you get to play as Virgil in the game, which is always like, you have so much fun playing Devil May Cry, but then you're like, man, I would really love to play as Virgil. He's badass. And then they're like, oh, okay, here's some DLC. Here's a special edition that you can play as Virgil. What do you think about this, Seth?
I think this is a game that is perfect for next-gen launch because it is just dumb fun. It is a great graphical powerhouse showcase. This game goes up to 120 frames per second. So if you want to talk about games that are going to show you the power of next gen from day one, right? We know launch games are not always the best at showcasing the power because no one's really figured out how to tap into that yet. But boy, imagine all of the shit that you are seeing on the screen right now at 120 frames per second. If you haven't played this game, it is up there with Yakuza in terms of ridiculousness. And I would say it's even more ridiculous from an over-the-top approach. Like, just if you remember the opening cutscene that they showed, do you remember that with the van flipping?
Oh yeah, no.
Yeah, and like it's just such a Devil May Cry is just such a banana bonkers franchise.
I will definitely say this game is great, and I'll even admit that I don't think I gave this game its due when it came out. I think like 2 years ago in 2018. Don't hold me to that. I played the game and I beat it. I ended up getting the game on PC, and let me tell you, good sir, on PC, this game looks fucking awesome. It is gorgeous and beautiful on my 2080 Ti and the 2K monitor in every sense. I think I was getting upwards of 140 to 160 frames on my monitor, and it was beautiful. If you are a fan at all and you have not given this game a chance, hopefully if you have an Xbox, you got at least the base game for Game Pass. But they did announce as well that this will be available at launch, but it will only be available digitally. You will not be able to get this game physically, but it is coming in at a very reasonable $39.99. There's a part of me that's like, I beat the game. Like, I 100%ed it. I don't think I need to play this, but then you get to play as Virgil. I was like, shit.
The Virgil DLC is coming to the other versions.
Oh, it is? Okay.
You'll be able to purchase it. Now, I also want to do one more correction because I don't want people to, run off. Devil May Cry 5 is no longer in Game Pass. It was removed from Game Pass a few months back. So, yeah, it's no longer there, but this is... go ahead and put on your tinfoil hat. I'm sure it's because this was coming, right? So, that being the case, if you like that type of action, score-based action game, over-the-top shenanigans, combos for days, this will be the way to play it. Like you said, everything you talked about, you have a $2,000 to $2,500 gaming rig that honked out that type of power, and now folks can go out and buy a $500 box.
Ooh, it was so pretty. Oh my god.
So now the tech, I guess the value tech is catching up in a way that now people are going to be able to go out and have that same experience without having to, have that 2080 Ti, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah. That's going to be awesome. It's definitely consider, if you haven't played Devil May Cry 5, you like action games, give that game a shot when it comes up in next gen. Here.
Listen, chat and listeners, I do my best to check him when he gets out of hand with this stuff. He comes in here he's always like, well, back in 1982 when I played Overwatch for the first time at BlizzCon, and back, when I'm over here on my 2080 Ti that I got, launch day, I try my best to bring him back in, right? I feel like Doc Ock in Spider-Man 2. You got the giant sun, and he's using the arms to keep it from blowing up. That was Cam's ego, right? And I just got to keep it in check, so he's not flexing too hard, right?
And I can't wait to get the 3090 and put it in one of my rigs. Well, probably gonna put the 3090 in my streaming rig because it needs the extra power. I'm completely bullshit.
Exactly. Yeah. No. Why stop there, dude? Just go ahead and put it in the third PC you're building for something. I don't know.
Cash Family has a quick question in chat. Says a Game Pass question: if you are playing a game and it is removed from Game Pass, can you still play it? Correct me if I'm wrong, yep. Seth. That is a no.
Okay? No. Okay, so I misunderstood your question. No, you can no longer play it. You are no longer entitled to play it. The game progress carries over if you buy the game. So the intention, I think a lot of times they'll say it's leaving soon, and any game that's in Game Pass you can buy for 20% off. So they try and encourage you to buy it if you want to keep playing it for 20% off. But if you play for 10 hours and then it goes off Game Pass and then 6 months later you buy it, you can pick up where you left off and keep playing. But once it leaves Game Pass, it's gone. It's not like the games for Gold or the PlayStation Plus every month. They're not yours to keep.
Yep. And then Rurutu in chat says he's going to give his 2080 Ti to his dog to play VR. I might. Don't judge me. You don't know what I'm about, okay? You don't know what's going on over here. No, I'm kidding.
Dude, put the graphics card in the dog. Oh. You could up their fidelity experience, dude.
That's a good point. That's
it's the I'm done. Get us out of here.
Why don't you get us out of here? I'm going to let you intro the last video game that I think was shown during the showcase, because I believe this is quintessentially...
I know what it is.
Quintessentially Seth. Go ahead, Seth. Take it away.
So, the last thing they showed was... Finally, we got gameplay footage of Demon's Souls. And Cameron... Let me tell you, buddy. This is the greatest, this is the greatest version of this type of game. I could not imagine trying to make something better than this. If you asked me to remake Demon's Souls, this is what I would do. It is going to be such a great next-gen title. It is going to be, I cannot wait to get into ridiculous PvP battles. I cannot wait for the invasions.
It's a launch title. It was confirmed that this game is launching alongside Miles Morales.
Look at that. I know if you're an audio listener at home, it is the gameplay trailer, so you're going to have to go look it up when you're safe and can do that. But look at it.
It looks good. It looks really, really good.
It's good. Yeah, no, this is... I said this on Console Wars. I'll say it here as well. Spider-Man and Demon's Souls is the perfect launch lineup for the PlayStation 5. It covers the game that everybody wants, Spider-Man, and the game that hardcore fans want to play again and again, and that is Demon's Souls. It is
this trailer, especially these Soulsborne games. I've played Bloodborne. I've played Sekiro. I never touched this game. This trailer really is making me consider picking this game up at launch to play it. It looks so good.
Listen, if you want to do some hilarious PvP, dude, I'll roll with you, man. I will roll PvP. We will invade all these fools and we will end their lives.
But
look at the quality of the writing on the ground with the little mist coming up from it. Man, listen. This Blue Point, bravo. You are masters of taking things that have been released long ago and making them feel like we remember them feeling, right? Even though this is not how that game played, that game was janky AF. But you make it...
You go online and go look at comparisons that people, I think, have from the stuff that's in this trailer to like from the original version to what it is now. Like one of the big things that I know people talked about as well, like when you go through the fog, like before it's like you would go through the fog to a different zone and it was like 30 to 40 seconds of like what loading before it went to the other zone.
Yep.
This one, I think somebody timed it 0.83 seconds from the time they went through the fog to the time the level was loaded. Like not even a second. Like,
I mean, look, that entire boss came in with no texture pop in. Like,
oh, that's a good point. I didn't even think about that.
No texture pop in, dude. It was there. So we're gonna see, right? Like, Microsoft's betting on power, Sony's betting on speed. We're gonna see if that bet pays off with this game for sure. Like, this will be the game. This is one of the few games I think that are only coming to next gen. There's Tower Knight. Look at Tower Knight, dude. Look at how good he looks.
The dragon? I don't know the names of these people. Seth does. I don't know. It's a gargoyle.
Listen, dude. All of this, chef's kiss. Give it to me. I mean, I'm not kidding. This was the game that made me decide to pre-order the PlayStation 5. Like when I saw this was when I was like, "Yep, Final Fantasy coming, Resident Evil Village. I want to play that in VR again." What can I play right at day one? Like, what is creating the urgency? Demon Souls and Spider-Man. That is creating the urgency for me. And I know Spider-Man's coming to PS4, but again, I am one of those people. I want the best experience, and I think that's...
Yeah, that was kind of it for me, too.
That's what you're going to get. Yeah.
Yeah, and it says, you saw the splash screen at the end, in the show as well. That's also said, also available on PC. They ended up taking that out. Apparently, they said that was a typo, or probably somebody copy and pasted. I don't know. But that no longer has the PC connotation or any asterisk. That says console exclusive. So if you want to play Demon Souls, you have got to go get a PlayStation 5.
Yep.
That's pretty crazy.
And that is not coming to next gen or previous gen. Like that is not coming to PS4. Like that is a true next gen game
only. So that's it. Those were the main games there. They had a quick Fortnite teaser, but it's Fortnite. Blah blah blah. Whatever. Some of the things they also announced in here, kind of, especially as we got near the back end of the showcase here. One of the, I'm actually going to bring it up here on YouTube.
I was about to say,
one of the very interesting things that they talked about.
There's another thing that you forgot, I believe.
The PlayStation Plus.
Okay, yes.
Did I miss something else? What else did I miss?
The time is near.
We haven't gotten to that point yet. We're still walking through.
Okay.
Calm down.
My bad. Sorry, you said that was it for the game, so I was like, okay, there's another game to talk about.
But technically, that was because there was no game footage shown after this.
You're right. But isn't that all Sony trailers?
But it's good. Okay. All right.
I'm done. Oh no! Listen, all PlayStation's great, dude. That's great. I love it. Nathan Drake, Nathan Soulsborne. I love it. Look at it.
But they introduced this, which nobody knew about, the PlayStation Plus collection. Now, what this is, guys, is that basically, if you are a PlayStation Plus member, it is a benefit. Now, not only will you get the monthly PlayStation Plus games, but you will also get this whole suite. It's going to roll through God of War, Bloodborne, Monster Hunter World. I'll shout out Final Fantasy 15, Seth, Fallout 4, Mortal Kombat 10. It's showing Uncharted 4. There's a Ratchet and Clank, the 2016 remake. You got to play that. It's good. Days Gone, it's good. Days Gone is actually surprisingly good and a really good deal. Until Dawn. I think they also have The Last of Us Remastered. There's Detroit Become Human. There's two more. Resident Evil 7, Battlefield 1, a bunch of other games. All these games are going to be Infamous Second Son. Are going to be available at launch that you'll be able to download on your PlayStation 5 and play instantly. They're not remasters or like up-res versions of the game. These are the PlayStation 4 versions of the game that if you're a PS Plus subscriber, you'll be able to access immediately on your PS5 at launch. We talked a little bit about this in Console Wars episode 7, Seth, but to kind of reiterate, what did you think about this kind of surprise showing It's not Game Pass. I wanna dash people's hopes right now. There's only about 20 games on here, but this is a pretty stacked list of some of the best games from the PS4 generation.
Yeah, I think that this is a twofold strategy, right? This is something that is to encourage those who maybe missed these games to give them a shot, right? So like I think Persona 5 is a great example of probably one of the best JRPGs ever made. And
it's a minimum that alone is a minimum 100 hours of game time.
Yeah.
Full stop.
And that's scary. Like a lot of people are scared off by that, but this gives them an opportunity to try it without any risk involved, right? So a lot of people wouldn't even buy that game because that's all they've heard about it, right? It's a 100-hour RPG. Well, now you can give it a shot. I think that game does a really good job of roping you into the story pretty early on. And so, because it is, I'm not going to spoil anything, but it is a frame story, right? So you have a good idea of like where things are going from the very start. You kind of want to learn how we got there, right? And so that's like a great example of like drawing in people who maybe haven't given those games a shot. I would say, hey, Seth, list out the 20 games that you say someone has to play on PlayStation 4. This is probably most of them, right? Like Bloodborne, Last of Us, Uncharted 4. Like these are just the bangers.
There are a lot of 4. That's the majority of them for sure.
And I think the flip side of this is Sony is doing something unprecedented. They are releasing a console that is no disk drive, right? This is an empire built on discs, right? They literally won this generation off of a 30-second disc-based video. And it's very scary for people to think about moving away from their disc library. One of the biggest concerns I've heard people talking about in getting the digital edition is like, well, it's back compatible with all these PS4 games, but I bought all these PS4 games physically. So what am I just going to miss out on that? So this is going to give people a very low barrier of entry to switching to digital. Like, honestly, if you want to switch to digital and you're a huge PlayStation fan, this is the best time to do it. You're getting all these games basically included in the subscription for your PlayStation Plus. This is a great bridgeway to help people start to feel more comfortable getting these games digitally. This is not a competitor to Game Pass. It would need 5 times as many games. And, you know, of course, these are all like A-list bangers, but like Game Pass is also about variety. And with the exception of a couple of like JRPGs and things like that, a lot of these are the same type of game, right? And if you're not into that type of game, you're not really going to dig it, right? I've been playing Undermine. I love Undermine. I would never buy Undermine, but I play it on Game Pass and I love it on Game Pass. That's kind of that's the type of content, like you want to see lots of content that makes you feel like that because that what keeps you paying every month, right? This is like a big drop at the beginning, and you know I'm not sure that these games are going to stick around forever. They may do away with this. My theory is that this is their way of kind of easing out of PS Plus games every month, because when someone eventually has to stop doing that, like we have to eventually get to a point where we're not giving out a free game every month and people expecting it, right? Like, and so this is, I think, a great way to ease people out of that, where it's like, hey, we're not going to be giving you a free game every month, but we're just going to be adding new stuff to this. Nintendo did it with the NES Online. Xbox is doing it with Game Pass. It makes way more sense for me to cycle things in and out of a service than it is for, oh, you've got to be here and subscribed for this 1 month. If you're not subscribed for this 1 month, then you miss out on it, right?
Yeah.
Fall Guys is a great example of a game that blew up because of its availability for free. But if you missed out on it this month, you're going to have to pay to play. And, you know, it kind of sucks to do that because it basically creates a hard stop for the onboarding versus that snowball would continue to grow and get even bigger and bigger if you allowed people to play it in a subscription service, right?
Yep.
So we'll see.
We'll definitely see. Definitely will. It's a cool idea. Definitely curious to see how it fleshes out for those people getting a PS5 this holiday.
What about you? What are your thoughts? I feel like I've just been chewing everyone's ear off tonight. I want to hear what you think about this.
The collection. The collection is awesome. I think I talked about it in why am I playing Console Wars? But this 100% is directed at people that were not a part of this generation. If you like, these are the people that played on Xbox for a large majority of the time during this generation, missed out on a lot of the hits that PlayStation has, and then they're like, oh, okay, now I'm getting a PS5 this generation. This is 100% like for them. This is a great list of $20 game or 20-ish games that even if you don't buy a game as soon as you get your PlayStation 5, maybe you don't like Spider-Man. You're one of the 12 people who hate Spider-Man. Maybe you're one of the 20 people that hate Demon Souls. I don't know. And you still have a full list of these games that you can tear into and play through the holidays, so it doesn't feel as much that you're just buying the system and you don't really you don't have the money for the new games just yet. Just pick up the PlayStation Plus subscription and play those games right out of the gate there. I think it's really cool that they have this. I also think it's appreciative of that. It's not this is clearly not a competitor to Game Pass. Honestly, if they wanted to make a competitor to Game Pass, and I talked about this in depth on Console Wars, I would rather see them take PlayStation Now and integrate that into PlayStation Plus. That would be the solution there. But no, this is a great little surprise bundle. If you've been in the PS4 generation, I don't know what this does for you. A good chunk of these games, some of them were free on PlayStation Plus throughout this generation. I think I went through the list, and with the exception of 2 games, I've played every game on that list. Yeah. And so, I've got a little bit of something to do, but most of the games I've played, some of them I've beaten already. So I'm good with them. They can go on the shelf and sit very nice and calmly.
But you'll be able to go back and play games that might be about to get sequels, right? Like there will be more Personas, there will be more more of these games and these franchises, right? And so this will give you a chance to go back and kind of experience that first game before you move into the next game. Now, speaking of sequels to those highly anticipated PlayStation games,
good segue. Go ahead. You shot it. Now sing it in.
So so we're at this point. We're like, all right, we're at the end. They're giving us system updates about PS Now, PS Plus. So we're on the way out. No. We got one more left, and so we fade to black. They give us the one more thing. We get the snowy. We get the very intense tribal music. We get the little swoosh going here, and it was about right here, about halfway up the swoop, where I was like, "Oh, God of War!" And then you hear it's I don't remember exactly what he says.
The time is near.
The time is near, and then you see the runes start to sketch in here, and I'm just like, of course, this is the announcement for the game that's coming in the next 3 to 4 years, probably. And then Cameron, and then they load it up. They give us the Ragnarok. We're like, cool, 2024, right? Is coming 2024. This is going to be a great mid-generation game. Nope. 2021. Next year.
I don't know how. How are they going to have Horizon Forbidden West and God of War Ragnarok in the same year? I don't know how. I don't know what that's possible. That being said, I'm very excited for that. The next God of War is confirmed. I actually kind of wasn't. I don't think they necessarily needed to end the show with that. I think that was kind of just like extra icing on the cake. But I think the thing that people wanted to come out for, the fact, surprisingly, we haven't even mentioned it in the show yet. They kind of right before the God of War reveal, the PlayStation 5, they confirmed launching. Yeah. $3.99 for the digital version, $4.99 for the disc version, November 12th in the U.S., Japan, Canada, Mexico, Australia, New Zealand, and South Korea, November 19th in the rest of the world. But speaking on the God of War stuff, it's just, I'm ready. I mean, I loved God of War. I powered through and beat that game. It was an incredible experience. I'm really ready for the next God of War. Mark my words, Seth. One of these 2 games, either Horizon Forbidden West or God of War Ragnarok, will be delayed into 2022. I guarantee. I will be shocked if both of those games come out in 2021.
That's a good one. That's a good guess. We'll see. Listen, I'm the Dark Lord of hype, so I'm going to stick with they're both coming out.
Okay.
this is, I will say, this is Sony's MO though. This is what like, we talked about this a lot in console wars, but Sony is asking you to throw down quite a chunk of cash for this box, right? And one of the most important things about making people, or when people buy something expensive, is you want to make them not feel buyer's remorse, right? You don't want them to go back and be like, oh, I really didn't need this item. I probably could have waited until the price dropped or more games came out. And so I think what's important is that Sony likes to lay the groundwork and let you know what's coming. You know, we talked about this with E3 of Dreams. You know, they love to show things that are a little bit further out to get people excited, but also to get people to shut up about them. Like, if you, like, and this is where I'm going to kind of circle back to something I said at the very beginning of this episode. Sony is really good at talking to games media. They are really good. So talented at them. So talented, in fact, they could do the exact same thing that Xbox did 3 years ago with Rise of the Tomb Raider and yank a game that has been available on multiple generations off of multiple generations, and they're being praised as a master move in the console war versus back in 2016 when Microsoft was crucified for it, right? So they're really good at communicating with press. And one of the things that I think they did really well here is they kind of gave, like, if they didn't show God of War, do you know what, in every single podcast episode, every single reaction video someone would have mentioned?
Where's God of War?
And they didn't show the next God of War. I wonder if they're working on it. Like, they just do that, right? Like, Sony, they want to get the obvious things out on the table, even if it's just a JPEG logo or, you know, in this case, just like a little animated thing.
Yeah.
Because they can do the reveal next year during whatever, I'm going to call it E3. We're not sure if it's going to be E3 or not, but like whatever that summertime reveal is, they can show us the gameplay of God of War, and we're going to be just as hyped. And, you know, it's probably going to be something stupid like, now he's got 2 hammers, you know, or like whatever. Like, it's going to be something stupid, but they're going to do it in the thing, and everyone's going to lose their minds about it and go pre-order the game, right? That is what Sony does. So I'm glad they showed this off, because I do not want people just talking about games we know are in development and they're just on the nose not talking about. We got enough of that this year with the PlayStation 5 as a console, right? Like,
good point. Good point.
We'll tell you when we're ready. Like, no, just confirm it exists and then let's move on. Like,
yeah, good point. Good point. But now
we got chunky stuff to talk about.
Yeah, we do have a bunch of other chunky stuff. So kind of double backing in on some of the stuff we hinted at before. It really felt kind of the saga, the aftermath of this entire reveal that popped up. We came in, point number one that I definitely want to make is, I kept saying this entire episode, like, this was an E3 trailer. This was an E3 showcase. It felt like it, because there was a lot of information that was left out. The trailers were specifically designed to get you, as a consumer, in my opinion, hyped and ready to go for the system and next gen. We come in, and but people leave this showcase, and there's still a lot of questions to be answered. When are pre-orders going up? What is it? You know, there's an asterisk that says it's also available on PC. Is this a timed exclusive? Is it not? Is Miles Morales a launch game? Is Demon's Souls a launch game? What is a launch game? What's going on? Is it launch window? All these other questions popped up. And I know we talked about it in Console Wars, like, this literally is Sony's MO again, where they show you these trailers and they immediately want you to swing over to the PlayStation blog and read the other detailed information there. Which I don't blame them for doing that, because I know that as gamers and consumers, for the most part, when we see these trailers, we just want to build up the hype. We don't want to see charts. We don't want to see information and text. Just show us the games and let's roll with it. So I get that, but there still could have been a lot more information shown during the showcase. We kind of added in during the show some of the information we'd already gleaned from here. Yeah. That Miles Morales and Demon's Souls are confirmed launch titles. They actually have launch day games from Worldwide Studios. Astro's Playroom will be pre-installed in the PlayStation 5. Demon's Souls, Destruction All-Stars, and Marvel Spider-Man and Sackboy: A Big Adventure will all be launch day games. They'll be available on day one with your PlayStation 5. Now, you might also be watching video and noticing this little price right here. Something they also didn't tell in the trailer, which I understand why they didn't talk about it in the showcase, but people found out as they went to the blog, is that actually they have some statement on here as well. They have decided to increase the price of all games coming out of Worldwide Studios from $59.99 to $69.99. It's in here. I know we talked about it, right?
Yeah, I mean it's on the games. Like it's.
Well, they had like a quick little blurb about it, like, oh, hey, we decided, okay, police choice,
Command F.
Command, yeah, okay. Well, I digress. It's in there. It's somewhere in there. But their big thing was just that Sony's mantra for the entire PS4 generation has been to, make high quality single player or high quality first party exclusives. They are continuing to do that, but they're just commenting like, hey, we need more money to do that. So we're bumping any game from Sony or PlayStation Studios will be moving forward within the $49 to $69 range, which is up $10 from the $39 to $59 range. I went into a spiel on this entire thing on Console Wars. So, Seth, I'm going to let you talk a little bit on your thoughts on this. What do you think about
we talked
the
about
price
this,
increase?
We talked about this in mass on the episode of Console Wars. This is this is going to be the hardest thing to talk about because it's going to rub people the wrong way. But the data shows that games are more expensive to make now than they have ever been before. They are something that require a Herculean effort from hundreds of people, right, across multiple organizations to get completed, marketed, and distributed. And while there is this general like boogeyman mentality around like publishers and getting things out, like the fact of the matter is that these games are called, like, the fact that Cyberpunk looks so good and the fact that God of War looks so good, they have to sell many, many more copies than they did back in the day to make sure that they can pay for all of that, right? Because if it's not profitable, it's not going to exist, right? And I think what really gets us here is that we're seeing this price increase. It's always abrasive when the price goes up, right? People get upset. I know a lot of folks, I think even chat's talking about it like right now, is are developers going to get any more of this? And my answer to you on that is no. But developers are being given a full-time job working at these studios. The fact is that the cost of maintaining that comfort is increasing every year, right? Everybody gets a raise every year. Like it's just a cost of living raise, but a lot of these places they function on bonuses, right? We've heard of Metacritic bonus. Like developers are rewarded when they reach those milestones that they want with their game launches. This is more of a discussion about the industry, right? The industry being healthy. And to put it bluntly, yes, this is going to be money that goes straight into the pockets of corporations. And again, this is where I have to come out and I have to say, I am a shareholder. And so there's two different approaches to this. There's the shareholder approach and the gamer approach, right? From a shareholder approach, it's exciting, right? Because now revenue, if we do the exact same thing we did last year, revenue will go up substantially, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is it, 12 or 14%, something like that? Just
something around
zero work.
Yeah,
zero work. That is awesome. Now, when shareholders get excited, what do? They pour more money into the company, right? They buy more shares. When the company is able to make more money, they are able to funnel more money into new projects, into hiring additional staff, and preventing the situation that a lot of studios find themselves in is they launch a game and then everybody gets laid off, right? We want studios to be like the Sony first parties where they are able to make games forever and ever. Or even like I talk in Console Wars about Media Molecule. They're able to just not ship anything for an entire console generation. And then they basically ship MS Paint, Video Game Edition, and they all have their jobs still. Like that's insane. Like if they were owned by EA, the studio would have been shuttered at year 3, right? You got to ship or die when it comes to third parties, but first parties have the luxury of this. So what I'm trying to say is the $70 sucks. It really does. The fact of the matter is, from an economical standpoint, it is past due. We have not seen an increase in over a decade. Yes, we've been able to mitigate it with in-app purchases, with DLC, and things like that. What this is going to do is this is going to help studios... Sorry, this is going to help publishers feel better about gaming as an industry and feel like they want to invest more into making more games. Now, Cash is asking in chat, so does this mean no one is going to get laid off? No. If Spider-Man Miles Morales comes out and is a technical mess and is completely flops and it causes the PlayStation 5 to take a hit in hardware sales because people decide to not buy it, yeah, people are going to get laid off. Like, that's life. That's just how business works. If you don't do a good job, you don't get to keep doing a not good job, right? Like, you gotta do the work. And Sony has created an environment where they're able to sell so many consoles to so many people that they can create these comfortable environments for developers to exist in. But this price increase, while it sucks from a consumer standpoint, it is going to be it is going to allow the games to continue looking better, to continue running better, to continue being better. Because, quite honestly, those developers aren't free, right? Like, they have very high demands. It's a very competitive industry, and they have to do all these bonus perks and benefits to keep people engaged and employed. People who crunch they're doing it because they either love what they do or they love the thing that they're participating in, right? And we want crunch to go away. Increasing the games to $70 isn't going to make crunch go away.
Well, it's not.
It's not going to solve the problem. What it is going to do is it is going to allow the developer to continue to eat up money from the publisher so that they can produce their vision, versus finding themselves in a situation where I think a lot of developers have found themselves. Let's look at Anthem, a game that probably needed more time in the oven.
Probably
ran out of time. Ship it out. Doesn't matter. Get it out the door. We got to make money on this. I'd rather make 50% of what we could make right now than to wait another 5 years and potentially go bankrupt and the shareholders, sell all their shares. Like, that's just how business works.
Yeah. Cash Family in chat says, I have no problem with $70. I have a problem with being lied to about what the extra money is going to do. I'll definitely. You can take a break, Seth. I'll wrap this up here.
I'm sorry. I ranted for a little bit.
You're good.
But...
You're good. I've been letting you rant. It's fine. Like, 100%. We're never going to know that. Ever. Yeah. That doesn't matter if it's Sony, if it's Microsoft, if it's Activision, if it's EA, if it's your small little indie studio. You will never know that, and ever, because that is a business trade secrets. No company ever is going to make that type of data public unless they are told to by some type of legalese thing. Full stop. But like, and then giving a quick conversation on what I talked about in Console Wars. Us as consumers in general just want what's the most I can get for the least amount that I can pay for. Full on. Can I get this 200, 300 hour game for $20? Awesome. That's what I want it for. And I kind of, as Seth said before, like I am at the thought that I'm with Cash Family. I think $70 is fine. I don't have a problem with $70. Like, I think it's been a long time coming. That's why I don't think that you see a lot of people after this showcase and all this information came out this past weekend, that people were like pulling down the doors of every developer, like, no, not $70. Not like it was when they tried flirting with this a couple of years ago, and the gaming industry shut that shit down in a heartbeat. It's time, and I think that Sony's going to be the test bed. A couple of other studios like Take-Two Interactive and whatnot are going to be the test bed, but do not be surprised when in the next year or two games are suddenly $69.99.
Yeah.
Especially if the people that are in the test bed are showing success with these games. As long as they're producing this high quality stuff that we've come to expect, I think there's not going to be a problem with it.
Yeah.
We hope, I'm with you, Cash Family in chat, we hope that there are the smart publishers and the smart people, corporate head guys, are taking this money and delivering it down. Kind of what Seth said. Is this going to prevent layoffs? No. Could it maybe stem the tide and maybe, we overhired all these people to get this done faster? Maybe they don't have to hire as many people to get it done faster. Maybe the extra revenue that they expect to come in will help give them extra time on the development cycle, because people can wait now. Oh, since we're getting $70 per game now, we can take an extra 6 months to make the game the best it can be, because we know that money's on that return on that investment is going to come back. Is there a way that maybe we hire a bunch of people in, but we can retain more? Yeah, we still have to do some layoffs, but maybe we can only lay off 10% instead of 40%. I'm hoping, fingers crossed. I don't know. We're not going to know. They're not going to tell us. But I think that I'm in total agreement that I think that, especially as I've learned more about content creation and games in the gaming industry, that we are at a point where games are way more expensive. Like, to get you your Witchers and your Persona 5s and your Last of Us and your Halo Infinites, it costs more money. Like, it's taking longer, it's taking more people, it's costing more money, period. And again, Cameron's point, I don't think it's fair to try and continuate that gamer mentality, like we want the most we can get for the least amount of money. I don't think it's fair to those developers and the people that we can't be the ones saying, oh my God, stop crunch right now, but then, oh, I don't want to pay more than $60 for a game. It's been like that way forever. Exactly. It's been like that way forever. And I think that I went into a whole other spiel about like gamers, age range, and all this other stuff. I promise, this Rocket Punch show is also a promo ad for Console Wars Episode 7. It was a 3-hour talk. Really, it was a lot of conversations in there. Like, a lot of this next-gen stuff we're talking about, please go listen to that conversation, because we went deep dove into a lot.
Yeah, and Cameron, I want to add some. This is where we're starting to see, I've talked a lot in that Console Wars episode about everyone being in their own lane. Mm-hmm. Microsoft is in a value-focused lane. If you are a person who is truly strapped for cash, if $70 is going to make it where you can't ever buy a game new again, then you should be playing on Xbox, because there is no better value than Xbox Game Pass. Like, it is $15 a month. So I think you break it out, it's what, 4.5 months of Game Pass
like that
equals one next-gen game, right? And that is 4.5 months, probably on average 100 or some odd hours of gameplay. That's a once every 3 years game, right? That's going to give you that much bang for your buck, right? And yeah, are you going to get it day one? No, but that's just the reality of it. But at the end of the day, it sucks right now. It really does. There's one other thing I want. I've seen a lot of really snarky threads, dude. I got to tell you, man, it's something about turning 30. I also turned 30 recently, so now I'm in this like, I don't know. It's like I'm starting to see a lot of the strings that the world, as the puppeteers of the world, like, I'm just starting to see it. And there's people that are like, well, I'm just going to get a 380 and get all my games on the Steam sales. And they'll never be allowed to make a game $70 on Steam, because Steam's known for the cheap games, right? Let me go ahead and rest assured, you will be paying $70 for PC games within the next 6 months. In fact, anyone who hasn't already announced their price, Cyberpunk would be $70 if they had already not committed to it being $60. And that's just them being good guys, whatever. You're about to get in this murky water of, yes, PS4 Miles Morales, $60. PS5 Miles Morales, $70 $40 and $50 if you're getting the base game or whatever.
Yeah.
And you put that PS4 disc in your PS5, you're not running on that faster frame rate. You're not running on those enhanced visuals. You're running that old version, the PS4 version. You might as well put in your PS4 Pro. It's the same version. And so, sorry, I'm reading chat real quick.
Oh, no, you're good. You're good.
Sorry, I don't understand that one, but I'll jump back into that. But like, PC is not immune to this. Steam sales are nowhere near like they used to be. I think you're lucky if you get 40% off of a game that's come out in the past year on Steam. Now, I'm not talking about like the indie darlings, Disco Elysiums, the games that come out only on Steam. That's still its own market. I think that's a very value-driven market. And I think now when you look at gaming, you have tiers, right? You have your free-to-play mega games, Fortnite, right? Free-to-play, you could play it for 2,000 hours and never spend a cent. But you could also spend $200 in a day buying junk that doesn't matter, right? So that's like free-to-play. You have the bargain bin, right? This is going to be the things you go to GameStop and buy for $10, $20, or that show up on Game Pass, right? Depending on if you're PlayStation or what, right? Then you're going to have your mid-tier games, your PUBGs, PUBG when it was new, right? It's not quite $60, but it's a pretty good game at that $30 to $50 price range.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have your full-priced games that are $70 now. It's up to you to decide what you are going to pay. I'll give you a great example. Spider-Man Miles Morales, I think, is worth $70 to get that deluxe edition that comes with the remaster of Spider-Man. I think that's a good value. Just finished Avengers. I feel bad spending $60 on that game. Harsh reality. Shouldn't have bought it. I regret it a little bit. The reality is I made that purchase decision even after all the bad reviews. I wanted to see what Avengers was like, so I made the gamble, lost the bet. Some people are feeling that way about Super Mario 3D All-Stars. They're like, what? These are just ports. They didn't do anything to these games, really. Like, why did I pay so much for this? Why are they creating false scarcity? All of this stuff should factor into your purchase decision, right? So games are increasing in price. So in your mind, you should be increasing the bar of quality that you expect. If you don't see the game getting near that bar of quality, don't buy it. Don't buy it. Or wait for it to come somewhere else. But yeah, I mean, Rutu in chat says inflation. That's surprise. If I give you $100 today, in 3 years, that $100 is not worth $100 anymore. Yeah. That's just the way the global economy works. It sucks, but if you're not making money, you're losing money. Same goes for business. If you're not making more each year than you did last year, and you reach a point where you're like, shit, this stuff is expensive. COVID hit us really hard. We've got to recover from this somehow. What's the best way to do it? We've got a console generation, $70. Let's do it.
I guess that's the way to do it. Yeah.
And it's not like it really sucks, but my advice would be buy video game stock. Like, ride the wave, dude. Like, next year's going to be great for gaming, dude. They're going to make so much money on console and game sales, so buy some stock.
They've been doing it right now. Like, the fact
watch what happens when you put $100 in, and in 6 months it is $300, and you're like, what? I didn't do anything, and it's more money. And then you start to realize why things are the way they are, because the more excited people who invest in things get about a thing, the more opportunities you have to do something, right? Like, think about if you wanted to be a Twitch streamer, you can start from nothing. But if someone were to walk up to you and say, hey, I'll give you $10,000 to get your rig started, you build the perfect rig, get the awesome camera, get everything you need. Not saying you need that to be successful, not saying that will make you successful, but they're investing in you because they see potential in you. And so now you're able to provide a higher quality content from day one versus someone else who's having to build that up over the first 2 years. It's that philosophy. And I'm sorry I'm going on another rant. We have to just have a shut up Seth button. Dude, just mute me.
Maybe I'll make one. I don't know. No, you're fine.
It sucks, but it's happened.
Yeah, it's gonna come sooner rather than later, definitely. Other than that, like, I mean, there was the whole debacle with PlayStation 5 and the pre-order mess, where how you had basically Jeff Keighley was telling us, oh, hey, don't worry, Sony says that PlayStation 5 is going to be available for pre-order the next day. PlayStation later confirmed this, but then Jeff Keighley pops up and says, oh, I'm also hearing rumblings that other retailers are also maybe making them available today. And it made this huge mess of pre-order foolishness. I am, for the sake of time, because we are almost at 3 hours here, I'm actually going to I'm gonna put a pause on that conversation. I'm actually intending to make a video on the entire PlayStation 5 launch pre-order So definitely check out youtube.com/RocketPunchGo this week. I'll have that video up, and you'll basically hear my thoughts on that entire dumpster fire of a situation. But no, overall, kind of wrapping up here on the show. Seth, what did you think about the showcase overall? Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Great showcase. Thumbs up. I thought it was a great showcase. I think that you're going to talk about this in your opinion video, I'm sure. I think that Sony needs to learn a little bit about communicating directly to consumers and launching products directly to consumers. You think about they're a like that when they announce a new TV, they go to CES, they show the TV off, and then they sell it to Best Buy, Target, Walmart, all these people, right? They're not used to selling directly to consumers. And what ends up happening in these cases is that you run into stuff like you're running into now where they're not communicating very clearly. Microsoft, on the other hand, is very well versed at directly communicating with consumers. They sell the Surface products. They sell, they've sold consoles directly for a very long time. And so you're seeing them kind of catch a couple things that Sony might have missed. And I think we're starting to feel it. I also think that hype for the PlayStation 5 went through the roof after this, right? When people saw Demon's Souls, when they saw Spider-Man actually playing, people wanted to buy it right away. The retailers want to sell it right away, so you had Walmart, Amazon, Best Buy just like popping off in the middle of the night, right? Like just no communication, nothing. They just went live with it. And, obviously if you're not there clicking refresh, clicking buy as soon as it goes live, you miss out. And that was a bad customer experience. I think if you bought it directly from Sony, you were put in a digital queue, you waited, they had a lot of protections in place. I still think buying directly from Sony is the best way to do it. The only problem is they did a lottery system, and it seems like most people didn't win the lottery. So, in fact, I think that the lottery was based on probably some shady shit. We'll probably never know, but it was interesting because everyone that you follow on Twitter was getting access to the pre-order, but nobody who was a normal everyday user was getting access, right? Your Greg Millers, your big name PlayStation people were getting access to it because I can Google their PlayStation username and I can send them in, it's like they have the database. So basically they were kind of like Willy Wonka giving out the golden tickets, right? And everybody else gets to fend in the death pits of Amazon, right? And so that's not a great experience. I would like to see a world where about 70% of the stock is being sold through PlayStation and most people are buying through PlayStation and everywhere else is just a vanity. Like, yep, Amazon got some. Because basically anywhere else is going to be botted to hell and back. Like,
yeah,
it's just like Amazon is a Goliath. Like not just for video games, for shoes, for anything sold on Amazon that's rare, instantly bought up. Right.
Rurutu in chat just says, just pretend you're Shaq's agent.
Yeah, just call in. Confidence is key. Just tell them, hey, I'm Shaq's agent. Shaq's agent. I'm calling to get my PlayStation. And I'll right this way, Shaq. It's agent. But no, I've ranted enough tonight, man. I think Sony learned some valuable lessons. A little bit of breaking news. I think yesterday they tweeted out like, hey, we're really sorry about this. We know this wasn't a great experience. And that means a lot to me because I don't think the Sony that I had in my brain a year ago would ever do something like that. They would never admit to a mistake. They'd ignore it. And God of War Ragnarok, they'd give you a shiny little rock to look at. And so the fact that they came out and they said, we're going to do our best to make sure there's plenty of stock. I'll reiterate a point I said at the very top of this. Do not buy from scalpers. When you buy from a scalper, you are increasing the likelihood that future devices will be scalped. What you want exactly what we were hearing about with these people who bought up like 5 states worth of hand sanitizer and then couldn't sell them, right? We want them to eat that cost, right? Yep. Because it's same with Ring Fit, right? Like I went to GameStop today, or I didn't go in, but like I walked by and saw 4 copies of Ring Fit on the shelf, fully stocked. And I was like, yeah, fuck you, the dude that probably bought the last copy and tried to sell it for $200 on eBay. Like, yeah, I hope that you still have that copy and nobody bought it. Like, that's if you buy into it, you're going to perpetuate the problem. But, there's been a whole discussion in chat about graphics cards. We're not even going to talk about it because you want to talk about companies that don't know how to manage
I actually released a new video. I actually didn't talk about it. I'll probably share that out this week as well. There's a video on youtube.com/RocketPunchGo where I talk specifically about the 3080 launch, give my opinions on that whole debacle as well. So you can definitely swing over there and check that out. Also,
get on it. So, I'm going to shut up now because I have ranted enough tonight.
And at 2 hours and 46 minutes, no problem. As always, we always have fun. These are great conversations that we're having. But at 2 hours and 46 minutes, I'm going to give you guys a rest from us because you're going to have a lot of stuff to listen to this week here. So thank you guys so much. This has been episode 23 of the Rocket Punch Show. What did you think about the PlayStation 5 Showcase? Did you enjoy it? What did you like? What did you didn't like? What game were you most excited for? Were you able to pre-order a PlayStation 5? Let us know in social. Of course, at Rocket Punch Go for me here, and at Darth Turner over on both of us over on Twitter. Rurutu in chat, I don't know why that actually auto-modded, but he says Final Fantasy 16 needs more waifu. That was great.
I think waifu was the one that triggered it. So sorry, I've added it to the permitted terms list. So waifu away, my friends.
Seth, if you wouldn't mind, I know you've been working a lot on your own project and content creation. Give us some quick plugs on what people can expect from you.
Twitch.tv/Darth Turner. You can follow me individually. I am working on a stream schedule, and I'm working on some new types of stream content. So I'll be doing some game streaming. I'll be also doing some non-gaming yet fun, I'll say, construction, I guess, related streams. And I'm also a designer. I'm a product designer. I work on digital products, and I've thought about doing some product design streams and maybe even some like UX reviews, like going in and looking at the new Xbox webpage, and just kind of sharing giving you a little inside baseball of like, why did they use this word, or why is this button here, right? And like giving you some industry insight. So I've been thinking about all kinds of different things, but if you go to twitch.tv/Darth Turner, you can follow me there, turn on notifications, and you'll know when I go live. But yeah, look for some streams popping up in the next week or so, and then a schedule probably in the next 2 or 3 weeks. I'm going to try and get that established. So
get excited, guys. I am. Definitely follow him. Twitch.tv/Darth Turner. But guys, that is it. Thank you so much for tuning in and listening to episode 23 of the Rocket Punch Show. Remember, go listen if you want to hear our full talk on next gen. Now that we've got all the prices and details on these consoles, be on the lookout for episode 7 of Console Wars on YouTube and your audio service of choice. But until then, guys, thank you so much. Good night and good game.